This week on the program, it's the motto of my life, dead is better. It's Pet Sematary. I'm Andrew Jupin.
Steven Sadak.
Chris Gavin.
Eric Siska.
And I'm Griffin Newman.
And we hate movies. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. Thank you for tuning in, as always. And you may have heard 4 fat guys, and then a 5th guy who you may not know. Welcoming to the program, Griffin Newman.
And I'm very little.
He's very much tinier. It's
Got
like you're
tiny
like
hands.
you're like a 5th of us.
I'm like Miko Hughes size.
Very fitting.
I had the movie we're discussing today I had never seen before.
Right.
And watching this, I got angry being like, how did I not get to read for this part in the remake? They wouldn't have to use a dummy. I could be like the stunt version, but I think they gender flipped.
Oh, yes. Well,
Yes, they did.
which they do in the trailer, which, like, that is the thing you put in your back pocket. So if you're the audience member, you're like, oh, I know Pet Sematary. You're like, what are they doing in Pet Sematary? But now it's the trailer, and I'm like, I don't want to see that movie.
And I had seen several trailers for the movie before, had never seen this original film, thought the new one looks good.
It does.
Yeah.
And then, like, 2 days ago, I caught the newest trailer where they give away the daughter.
Oh.
Right before I watched this movie for the first time, I would have been blown away.
Totally blown away.
Exactly. And we're recording this a couple weeks before Us comes out, a couple days before Us comes out. I saw the newest Us trailer, which is like 41 minutes long, and I'm in the theater, like literally covering my eyes, like, oh, that's a scaredy cat. Like, no, I just want to watch the movie when it comes out. Like, I don't need the 12-minute trailer.
You're very sensitive about that,
Oh,
though.
I'm a spoiler phobe.
If I tell you who's starring in a movie, you get really angry.
Steve likes to go in cold.
I like to go in fresh.
What would you do if I spoiled Us for you right now on the air?
I would leave this. I would leave this partnership.
It's
really?
actually
Do
them.
it.
At the end of the movie, it turns out it was them. Well, I don't even know if I want to say this because I feel like you'll get upset if I tell a story about getting upset about reading something on the internet. But I saw someone today being like, I forget who, but a online critic saying like, after seeing Us, Elizabeth Moss is definitely my choice to play the next Joker.
Oh,
yeah, well, what
man.
the fuck?
And someone said, spoilers.
Yeah.
And their response was, not a spoiler, I can tell you, she doesn't play the Joker in Us. And it's like, okay, you're being funny, and it's not like I know exactly what that means.
Right.
But I also know there's at least one scene in the movie where Elizabeth Moss does something Joker-esque.
Yes.
She might not be the villain.
Right.
She might not become possessed. I mean, who knows what the outcome is? But it's like in a horror movie where, like, I don't know what's going to happen to anyone.
Yeah.
I know how Elizabeth Moss gets twisted.
Or she's going to wear a boutonniere that's going to be very nefarious. And I'm going to be very, very, very wary of that.
Or she just has face tattoos.
She might just be very well dressed.
What's
I feel like
weird,
people don't talk
though,
about that enough. Joker's very well dressed.
He is impeccably dressed, almost in every iteration.
Every iteration.
I don't know, man. For me, it gets a little clownish.
That's awful. That's awful.
He's like
Eric.
the clown
That's
prince of crime.
Oh, God.
I just saw Her Smell at South by, and
Spoilers, she does.
in that movie. In that movie, I had the thought she could play the Joker. In that movie.
See, interesting.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so-
saying that isn't any kind of spoiler because it's not a horror movie.
But what's weird is having seen Us like last week, now I'm thinking, what the hell is that guy
Okay,
talking
so
about?
it's based in nothing.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
totally based in nothing. That's
Right.
very strange.
Because you do see in Her Smell, it's like she hits a certain level of like manic intensity where you're like, she could
yeah.
play. Right.
So
Exactly.
is the Joker smell good or bad?
It's like kind of like a mix of like BO and wine cooler.
Does she have henchmen in Her Smell?
Yes.
Okay,
definitely.
that
There's
makes
definite
sense.
henchmen.
She actually does.
She does. She
She's
definitely
got
does.
sort of like a cadre of like.
Yeah, there's a posse.
Okay.
The guy who helps Jessica Jones out in her roommate or whatever. The guy in the same building.
yes, that's the dude. Yeah,
But
yeah.
she's sort of got like, it kind of feels like a traveling circus. Like she's got like
Yeah, she's
a
got
sort
a
of
little-
phony shaman around her and like
Yeah, it's-
musicians. And
It's a great movie.
it's
by
an
the way.
excellent film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The film today, by the way, Pet Sematary from 1989, directed by Mary Lambert. But before we get to it, I think we should plug away because we like hanging out with you. We were on Blank Check with
Yes.
Griffin and David.
2
Steve
down,
and
2
I.
to go. Yes.
Yeah. We had a great time. We were talking. What did we talk about?
We
The
talked
bear
Total
movement?
Recall.
Oh, Total Recall.
Total
of course.
Recall.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right.
Come
All
on.
right.
Looks like his recall wasn't total.
Well, that's the
Oh.
marijuana. But big news. Just in like a few short weeks at this point, or it's out like right now. We're
No,
recording
days.
this in advance, but in a few days, the Tick season 2.
Yes, I think these two things will be coming out around the same
Yeah,
exact
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. It's soon quickly approaching. It's something we filmed a while ago.
What are we
And
talking? Like a year and a half, a year ago?
Like 5.
You know, I read that you have this intensity in it that you could possibly play the Joker.
I get a little twisted. This season. No, we filmed it like 9 months ago, and a
Mhm.
lot of that is just TV is weird now
yeah.
because
yeah.
there's no like traditional.
There's no structure to it.
There's
It's
no
the Wild
structure.
West of
it's
television.
the Wild West, really. And I think they took more time on the effects this time because last time we were super rushed, and I think everything looks really great.
Yeah.
But it's been the same where I've just been like sitting on it for a while, and I couldn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
But I think the new season's really good. One of the things I'm really excited about in this new season is we have like monsters on the show.
Ooh, nice.
Because like season 1, it was like human
Mhm.
villains.
Yeah, yeah.
Jackie Earle Haley's kind of a monster, though, right?
He's monsterish.
Yeah.
He's monsterish, and I mean, at the end of the day, who is a greater monster than man?
very
But we have
true.
like creatures,
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
and it's really fun to work with like like a 6'5" Russian stunt guy, who's just like we have this creature who is.
We talking tentacles?
We're talking. It's a lobster creature. I don't think I can say the
Ooh.
name of the creature, but
Okay.
it's like a man-sized lobster.
Uh-huh.
God,
Walks
it sounds
upright,
delicious.
Has all the little arms that pop out of its chest,
Oh.
and then big claws for hands. And those claws may or may not be handy when it comes to breaking through bank vaults.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
But the mouth sort of like has these tendrils
Mhm.
that move, and the eyes move around. It's all like animatronics.
Practical effects, man. I mean,
Super
that's
practical.
Awesome.
That's what I like about the show is I like the character design. It's,
Mhm.
it's very, you guys, you really good production design. Which is nice.
Thank you. I can't take any credit for that, but I agree with it. It's a
No,
thing
the
I
acting
really
is
like about
terrible.
this
The
show.
acting is awesome.
Oh,
Personally,
total
the
watch.
performance is wretched.
total watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you trying to get laughs?
No.
Okay.
I was trying to get fired.
Oh, okay. That's
Not my kind of show.
yeah.
Didn't want it. They're holding me against my will. No, but it also is like, as a kid, like I grow up like being like, I want to be in the pictures. I want to make TV.
Yeah.
And then you work on so many things where you're like, this is boring. Like there's just like a green screen behind me,
Yeah.
and actors are lazy and they don't do their scenes with you. Like they're like so many dispiriting things. And it's great to be on like a show where it's like we have big sets
Yeah.
and like extras wearing uniforms and like
That's cool, man.
cool props and this creature. So it's this stunt guy who plays the creature on the show has to give like a performance,
Yeah.
because he's not like doubling for someone else who's carrying the emotional weight
Right.
of the creature.
And it's not
Yeah.
a mop with like a ball on its head, like creature coming later.
Right,
It's
right. There's a
thing.
real physical thing that
Yeah.
we're interacting with,
Yes.
but he has to be very deliberate, not just in the choreography, but in like, how he conveys the emotions of the character and the
Right.
intents of the character and everything. And there was a day where I was doing a scene with him like up close, and we were inside, and it was really hot, and everyone's like sweating all the time. All the costumes are like not very breathable. And when we're filming on our sound stages, it's like 40 degrees. They make it like an icebox. It's like Hateful Eight, where we're
Yeah.
all like the entire crew is like bundled up with scarves in July,
Ooh.
and then the actors are all wearing these really dense costumes and sweating. So there's this like amazing disparity. And so I'm really close up to the lobster creature, and I was just like admiring how incredible the design is.
Lost
and
in
the
his eyes,
actual-
right?
and the eyes moving and the tendrils moving, the mouth. I went, God, this is so amazing. And look, they loaded in some sort of like dummy saliva. There's like goop coming off.
Are you
like,
sure
the
that was
tendrils
dummy?
of the mouth? It was his sweat.
Oh, this poor bastard.
I was like, this is incredible. How can we afford this?
oh my God.
And then I just saw his sweat was pouring out as if it were like a rigged effect.
Oh wow, that
Yeah.
sounds.
That's
terrible.
actually the sequel to Her Smell is His Sweat.
His sweat. His sweat.
Now, you mentioned the Old West about 10 minutes
Mhm.
ago. Do you ever think that Billy the Kid was like the Joker of the
Oh,
Old
he
West?
was. That guy was
Right?
so twisted. I mean, he was like the clown cowboy of crime.
Yes.
There it
I
is.
think so.
I think that's right.
I think so.
Let me ask you one more thing before we get to the discussion today. Sarah Finowitz, just as handsome in IRL as he is
He's
on
very
television?
handsome.
Oh my
he's
God.
very handsome, and he's a very tall man.
Yeah.
Is he 40 feet tall?
He's 40 feet tall.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a
That
clean 40.
Yeah.
I'm very little, as you guys can see right now. One of the things that really aggravated me was when when the pilot came out for the show and when the first images came out, people were complaining that I was too tall. They were like, "This is ridiculous! Like Arthur's like the same size as the Tick."
Oh, what?
And he's like a good foot taller than me, like
Yeah.
a heavy foot taller than me, plus significantly broader.
Yeah.
But sometimes things photograph weird. Like in the same way that you can use photography to make people look like there's a greater size
Gandalf,
difference between them.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Somehow we accidentally, in some of those early images, did a reverse Gandalf where
I
I
did
was
a
standing
reverse
too
Gandalf a couple
close
of
to the
times, yeah.
camera. So then when we started filming the season proper, after they gotten those complaints, they would constantly be like, "Griffin, can you try just like crouching a little bit?"
Oh no.
They'd like make me expand my stance. And I'd be like, he's already got like...
That's famously the same thing that happens with Batman Returns, because Danny DeVito looks exactly as tall as Michael Keaton.
So the top hat is throwing it off. No, he's very handsome. He wears a leather jacket a lot, which is just like very cool. And it's one of those
Jesus,
things
that's
where I'm just like, I can't pull this off. Like I never, but he like comes in, he's got a cup of coffee and a cigarette.
Yeah.
He's like going over the script pages. It's just like he's a snack.
Can I now? I'm gonna tie in. Can I tie in Blank Check as well?
Mhm.
At what point did you bring up Phantom Menace? To
Immediately.
Okay,
Almost immediately.
I just wanted to know. Yeah.
Almost immediately.
I would have to, but I don't know if I would
Let's
have
get this over with.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let's get into it.
We got cast separately because I was like fighting for months and months and months to get the part, and they were fighting for months and months and months to get him to pick up the phone and take the part. And we didn't both get cast. We weren't both set until maybe 2 weeks before we were going to start filming. So the first time we met was the night before we were going to do the table read. Which is always kind of scary because now they like fire people from table reads all the time.
Oh my lord!
They make people do like 4 rounds of testing for like any of these TV shows. It happens more when you're in like the traditional pilot season window when everyone's like going crazy and like fighting to try to get their actors on like the 90 pilots that will never see the light of day. But if someone when they do the table read like doesn't get laughs, the next day they're like out of there.
Oh Jesus.
So they always like impart onto you this thing of just like you gotta make sure you get your rest because this isn't just for fun.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to have to go back to the drawing board. So I was only meeting him that night before, and it's like for a show that's so much about the chemistry between these two characters and two characters who have been played well before by other people.
Right.
So there's like a specific thing. There's an image that people have in their mind and what they sound like and how they move and all this sort of stuff. It was like very nerve-wracking. So we went to dinner the night before to try to like get to know each other. And one of the first questions he asked me when we sat down for dinner was, I don't know, man. Are you a Star Wars fan?
He brought it up.
He saw it on you. He smelled it, dude.
He smelled it on me.
His
Because I
smell,
think we
dude.
were talking about we're talking about bad work experiences. That's what we were talking about. We were comparing things because we were like, how do you like to work on set, this and that.
Yeah.
We're talking about bad work experiences. We're walking in the restaurant. We sit down in the restaurant and he says, "Are you a Star Wars fan?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "So I was in one of them." And he wasn't doing the thing where he was like pretending to be modest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He genuinely was like, you probably wouldn't know who the character is.
Right.
And I had to be like, okay, and like open up the whole book. And be like, I spent a year pretending that Phantom Menace was the only movie that existed.
Right.
Because Blank Check came out of that.
Right. Yeah.
It was for a year just David and I talking about the Star Wars prequels as if they were devoid of context.
Well, I mean, I feel like if I was meeting Peter Serafinowicz for dinner,
I thought you were going to say Paris Hilton.
That's what I heard,
It's a
too.
tough one.
You nailed his name. You nailed it.
You know, Paris Hilton could play the joke. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, she
my God,
totally
she's
could.
so twisted.
But if you're like, I get off the subway, he's like waiting at the thing. I'm gonna wave, Phantom Menace,
Yes.
yeah, and he's
Of
like,
course.
yeah, that fat guy,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, it was very bizarre to like talk to him and realize like, oh, that was like the first job you got out of drama school.
Yeah.
Because so much of it was that like George Lucas likes to skirt around unions
Oh, yeah.
and labor
sure.
laws. That's why he filmed those movies in England largely.
Sure.
A
Because
lot of
the
child labor on set. I've heard that.
Yeah.
actors unions are very different over there. So for all those like alien parts, the voiceover parts, they just like went to the local drama schools and were like, give us
Wow.
your 20 guys who can do voices. And he
Huh.
was like, I did voices for like 10 characters. 2 of them made it in.
Wow.
Like he's one of the other Gungans as well.
Really?
He's
I didn't
got
know
like
that.
one isolated line as like a Gungan. I don't think anyone knows that. Like I've never seen him credited as that.
Yeah.
But he was like the guy who played like Sebulba was my buddy. Like it was like we were all like coming out of that class.
So do you want lunch or do you want to do another Gungan? Like what's I mean what would you rather have? Would you rather have lunch or another Gungan?
But he was like, we didn't have any context. Like he wouldn't. And it's weird because it wasn't like now there's such a thing where you hear like all these actors working on Marvel movies where like they didn't let me read the script. I didn't even meet the other actors. I like
Right.
shot my scenes in a parking lot in Atlanta. We'll see if I make the cut. But this was apparently just George Lucas doesn't like talking to people
That's not
and wouldn't
surprising.
explain. He was like, so, you know, he's just like really evil. And he said George Lucas was like right behind him. I was going to say over his shoulder, but he was
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
under his shoulder. But George Lucas was like right behind him, like breathing on his neck, going like,
Wow.
Give him a massage
more
or what?
evil. Like in the
This
recording
guy,
booth,
this
he
guy's
was there.
twisted, okay?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
just-
like you're the Joker of
Yeah.
Star Wars.
It's like the clown Sith of crime.
Someone give me a fucking ladder so I can stand over
Yeah.
this guy's shoulders.
But he like didn't realize that Darth Maul was a thing
That's
until he
funny.
saw the trailer and was like, I think that's the character.
Oh man, that's
Right, because
so
Ray
weird.
Park played the body, right?
Right. And he
Ray
was
the
also,
body part.
Ray the body part. I think he also just was like, I don't know, give me like 10 characters. I don't
Yeah.
know if any of these are important.
Yeah,
You
so
know?
weird. Well, that's awesome. So, The Tick season 2,
Season 2, April 5th.
April 5th is the date. Amazon.
Globally,
Globally
available
on
on
Amazon.
Amazon.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get to it. Steve Zanuck, if you had to boil down the film Pet Sematary, 1989, to its essence, without saying dead kids.
Oh no.
Because I knew that would be your essence spoiling. What are we talking about? What is this movie?
It's a neighbor that can't shut his goddamn mouth. Is what it is. It's
Yep.
no, it's a movie about it's your classic. We move into a new house, but instead of the house being haunted, it's areas adjacent to the house being
Yeah, your
haunted.
backyard is haunted.
You got a haunted backyard, and it's a Stephen King joint, late 1980s, and
It's a true horror story because you got like you're buying this nice house in Maine.
Yeah.
A bunch of Maine weirdos are burying all types of bodies out back
But as
on
you
your
said,
property.
too, also a blind buy.
Blind buy.
buy.
They're showing up just on good faith. They've
Yep.
already put in the payment.
It's your
Yeah.
classic metropolitan ignorance.
Yes.
Of we're moving from Chicago to this sleepy Maine town, which I don't get. So this dude is like this fucking hot shit Chicago doctor, and he's like, you know what I want to do? Move to this nothing
I got
town
a theory
and
on
practice
that.
medicine.
I think
Sex
he's-
scandal?
Well, yes, but in addition to, I think he's a terrible doctor.
I think
that
he's a
could
bad
be.
doctor.
He's got to
Yeah.
be a bad
Yeah.
doctor
Uh-huh.
because he's just like, well, later on when they bury the cat, okay, he's just like, well, maybe it wasn't dead. I'm not a veterinarian. Wait a second. You're dealing with human people and you can't tell if a cat is dead?
I'm sorry, sir. I couldn't tell whether or not your wife was dead. She was, but I couldn't. I told you otherwise. I'm very sorry.
It
It's a
looks
pretty-
dead,
yeah.
but maybe I should get a specialist in here for this. The eyes have rolled back, but I don't know for sure.
His nickname was Malpractice.
It's also not like they go like, excuse me, sir, does my cat have pneumonia? And he's like, I can't tell. I'm not a veterinarian. It's a binary question.
Yes,
it's just, does this thing have
alive again?
life in it or not?
Yo, is this thing breathing or what?
You
couldn't-
handled it
couldn't-
for like an hour. Is it alive or not?
I couldn't possibly.
Fred Gwynn's like, I don't know. It was fucking frozen to the lawn and you scraped it off like a hoarder. I think it was dead.
I mean, he's loaded with analogies for how this thing moved. It's
Speaking
like
of-
pulling tape off the ground.
Speaking of hoarders, I think in this new movie that's
Right.
coming out very soon,
Mhm.
Yeah.
they should the new Pet Cemetery should be in a hoarder's living room.
Oh,
right?
Oh.
You
and
know?
it's Dead Cat Army, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
movie, I
Yeah.
think. Better.
Because there's like 40 of them. Everyone, it's like, oh my God. And then we pulled the couch back and there was 3 more flattened cats.
Wait a second. Did you bury a boy in that hoarder's house? It's going to come back from the dead. Because that's like a modern Indian burial
Yes,
ground. It's
yeah.
a hoarder's domain.
right,
It's just
right.
creepy.
Well, it's the same instinct, right? When you're a hoarder, you're like, oh, I might need this eventually.
Mhm.
Again,
This
you know
is
what I mean?
sacred.
Yeah, exactly. This is sacred.
We can't waste any part of the buffalo. We
Yes.
must keep all the parts of the buffalo stacked up in my closet.
Absolutely.
What you don't want to do is bury a cat under like a pile of all the 9/11 newspapers you
Yes, for
collected.
sure.
Yep, yep. Because you never know when you're going to need those again.
Yeah,
Actually,
you're
It's
going to
like,
need them someday.
Look, somebody comes over to the house. They ask, does he impact photos? I don't have any. I'm totally
The
fucked.
9/11 newspapers? Were people collecting
Yes,
those?
absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
My mother stole a 9/11
Wait, hold
newspaper
on,
from
no.
a Starbucks.
Wow. Well, allegedly. Let's not get her
No,
arrested.
not allegedly. This is an actual
Kevin, your
story.
mom's going down.
I'm aware of that.
So
Why? Wait, why?
So the nation was coming together. And at that moment, your mom's like, now that the coast is clear, I'm going to steal a $4 newspaper?
My mom was at I believe it was a Starbucks, and her and her sister were like getting coffee, and they were like, "This is crazy." And like she was like, all the newspapers were gone. Like they sell them there, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, and then she just saw one on a table, and she's like,
Okay.
Well,
Yoink.
grabbed it.
wow.
What's crazy too is then I would argue the nation was not even coming together yet. We
Yeah.
were all still real. Like people were trying to find their place, and your
Yeah.
mother with laser-like focus
Yeah.
was like,
I think your mother could play the Joker, dude. That's fucking nefarious.
yeah,
as
I
shit.
mean, fucking
if you
twisted.
also think about it, like Osama bin Laden was kind of the Joker of the
Oh my
Middle
God,
East.
That's
he
true.
was.
That's
It's
actually
true,
true.
Eric."
You started the Joker talk.
Osama bin
no,
Laden.
no one brought up
Osama
okay.
bin Joker. That feels like a later period Frank Miller comic.
Or a Mad TV
Yes,
sketch.
yes.
So it's the Creed family. This
Right.
dad with a face built for soap operas.
Yes.
The mother is played by Denise Crosby, who had been recently fired off of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay, so I was getting my time. So this is like her immediate rebound from Yashatar.
pretty much because TNG was 87.
Tasha Yar, by the way. Sorry.
Oh
I needed
boy,
to do it.
I'm
I just
sorry.
did it.
No,
I
you
just
had
stopped
to.
12
He's-
tweets. I
you
just
had
jumped in
to.
front of you. and
Griffin,
stopped 12
like
tweets.
me, is a Star Wars fan.
I'm more
Yeah.
of a Star Wars
don't
fan.
know.
Gotcha.
I'm more of a Star Wars fan, but my girlfriend's a Trek fan and has
Mhm.
been trying to get me into it, and I believe she just dumped me upon hearing that mistake.
Yeah, because TNG was 87 was that first season, and
Yeah.
so this came out 89. So yeah, production wise, like this was their next like biggest thing. I
Right,
think.
crazy. Right.
And I think she's good in this movie. She's
She
just
is.
not in it that much.
No.
No, and he's very strange. It's a very specific type of 80s leading man,
Yeah.
which is guy who is only good at holding a close up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like you're just like he looks very comfortable
Very stiff.
holding the
Mhm.
whole frame,
yeah.
and he's got a pretty good jaw.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem that interested in playing the emotions of the character or saying dialogue.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's that Melrose Place acting school
Sure.
you come from.
Sure.
Where you just don't do anything. You just
Right.
stare and look handsome.
Right. It's the dramatic stares.
That's but you're totally right though, Captain, because he could play a dude named Billy.
No,
Absolutely.
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 A grown man who calls himself Billy for some reason? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Sort of like Billy the Kid.
Yeah,
Oh my
you did mention
God.
that once 15 minutes ago.
The-
That's right.
The Joker of the Old West.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
I'm
Oh, you meant the
retiring
Joker
the
of the
Joker.
Old
That's
West.
going
Oh,
to
I'm
take
sorry.
Talking
off,
about
by the
the
way.
Joker of the Old West.
This is the next Amazon show.
That's the
Come
next
on,
show.
right?
Honestly,
yeah, I'm gonna flip it.
Mark Hamill and fucking Jack Nicholson could walk into the studio right now, and I'm not saying the words Joker again. No matter what. No matter what.
Well,
Okay.
you're already saying this, but don't you remember the part in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid where he has the little acid flower?
Yeah,
And he
Yes,
just
right.
puts it at Pat
exactly.
Garrett.
And the buzzer. Oh my
Yeah.
God, the
Yeah.
buzzer handshake.
Well, dude,
He
he
does
was
the
the
pencil
Clown Prince of the
trick.
OK Corral.
Original choice for the dad in this movie, Bruce Campbell. Better movie,
Yes.
same movie, worse movie.
Much better.
Better movie. Better movie. 'Cause I
Better.
was gonna say the whole thing with this kind of genre, especially this period of horror films, is like you want the fun of watching someone play freaked out.
Yeah.
Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell was so fucking good at that
Mm-hmm.
in the Evil Dead movies. And this guy, you're just like, this movie misses a little energy from the fact that he cannot fully commit to the terror of the situation,
Yeah.
which she's totally doing.
Oh, yeah.
She
Everyone
totally-
else is doing.
in betwixt multiple trips to Chicago that she
Right.
takes in this movie.
She looks more
Jesus
terrified
Christ.
at the other end of phone calls than he does when he's face to face with his dead son.
I will say this though, you know what I don't think Campbell could pull off? This fucking bath scene we get in this movie. This dude's just taking that steamy
I
bath.
don't know.
Where did that
that
come
rat
from?
bath?
Yes, the rap.
Classic rat
Classic
bath.
rat bath?
I don't want to. I'm really, really sorry to be doing this. I'm going to bring up the Joker again.
Please,
nice.
please do that.
Joker
'cause
cast.
I do believe that Fred Gwynne. It's kind of like it is like Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight.
Uh-huh.
I think if you take him out of this movie does not work
I agree.
whatsoever.
Yeah, that's actually
He's
true.
like the lightning rod of the whole thing.
And not having
Yeah.
seen this film before, I didn't realize like, oh, this is who everyone's parodying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is-
That
Even the
dude.
people who don't realize that they're parodying him, they're now riffing off of the archetype that is the people riffing off of him.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Because
this is the ground
quintessential, like the creepy
Mainer.
old man who's giving you the warnings.
Mhm.
Can you trust him or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the voice, I'm just like realizing, like, oh, I've seen people do this voice in 1,000 bad improv shows.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You ever wonder how I got these scars?
Yes.
Oh Lord.
Why so serious?
And Fred Gwynne, of course, Herman Munster, classic television actor
Yes.
in this movie, which is cool.
So they move in,
Right.
and immediately it's it's very bucolic, very lovely. We see Maine.
Bucolic, you fucking just bringing out all the $10
Well, he removed
words,
Joker
dude.
from his vocabulary, so now he's filling it.
My
that void
IQ rose
with-
3 points.
Yeah.
They're all coming
This
in
is
like a
very-
black hole.
It's like this Joker-esque town that they moved to.
It's twisted. I mean, the problem with this town is it's got the Autobahn going right through it.
Right. It's
What are we
insane.
doing?
There is no speed limit on this
The worst
road.
location I've ever seen.
So
Yeah.
bad.
The family just it's the mother, the father, the daughter who's like 7 or 8. And
This
then
little
there's,
girl
like,
sucks, by
and
the
like
way. I
a
have to say
fresh
it.
baby
Yeah,
Miko
sucks.
Hughes. He's like 13 months or
The
whatever. how
baby
old-
sucks too.
The baby's terrible.
You gotta be suspicious of parents in this situation, though. Like your kid's like 30 months old. You're like, you're gonna get in the fucking movie. You're gonna get in there now.
Yes.
Well, you say it's the worst place to live, but you gotta imagine with this major trading route coming through this small town in Maine, the fucking property value is probably really low. Like you
Right.
could probably buy that house for $500.
Well, $500 at the expense of the life of your son and a
Eh?
cat.
How about so?
He's a hotshot doctor. Isn't that the whole point that he
That's
should be able to
true.
afford?
Well, that's
like
the thing. He's
yeah.
just disgraced. It's not
He's
sad, but he's
disgraced,
disgraced.
yes.
By the way, his bumper sticker. My God, did you get a look at that
I
thing?
did.
Gas,
Yeah,
grass,
yeah.
or ass?
I wish. No,
What
it's
does it say?
it said like, "Have you hugged your MD today?"
Oh, let's see. Yeah, he's a
These
pervert.
fucking
Yeah.
doctors
He's a fucking
always these
pervert.
fucking
Yeah.
doctors always want the world.
Yeah, he got me too'd out of Chicago, and now he's like
Yes.
resettling in Maine.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he,
actually
he
right.
definitely is a guy who takes better care of his scalpel than he does his children.
yeah.
That
Like, that
case
thing-
that scalpel's in, that's
What
where you
the
put
f-
like fucking war swords.
I
It's like,
refuse
dude,
to believe any normal doctor
no, that's a
carries
serial
around
killer.
in his suitcase.
Yeah.
That's a Sweeney Todd
Yes, it
device.
is.
Yeah.
Or
Yes, it
Jack
is.
the Ripper.
Yes,
who was kind of
100%.
like the Joker of doctors.
He was.
I mean,
He was the Joker of Old England.
God damn it!
I 100% agree. You should put Miko Hughes in that case.
You should.
Yeah,
That's,
You
that's
should.
where you
That's
should
how you
carry him
keep
away.
him safe.
Yeah,
You
that's
put him in a
easier.
nice plush case.
But
Look
this
at
was
that.
this was also the first time he played a feral animal child because he
Yes.
does the same thing in Wes Craven's New Nightmare,
Mhm.
where most of his dialogue is.
Yeah.
That's also his dialogue in Kindergarten Cop.
Oh,
Yes,
right. He's
right.
also in that.
And then
I
he,
think so, yeah.
he plays the kid who can crack the puzzles in Mercury Rising.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that
Indeed.
was it. Was in the days before we were using the word autistic. in
Yes,
cinema.
that's a pre-autistic autistic child.
Right.
Yes.
Anybody ever see the TV show called Babes?
with
Wait,
it's
Playboy Channel?
the
No.
woman the woman who played the sister in Back to the Future.
Yes.
is one of the titular babes.
They're two larger women, and they're
Yes.
living in the city, and their entire house is cow themed for some reason. Like there's nothing. Their
Wait.
couch is cow themed.
When did this air?
Like 1992 on Fox.
So
like,
that-
and Miko Hughes was involved.
The title's got kind of a double meaning. is
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah. I think that's where it's like, oh, they're babes in the
They're like
city, but
cow
it's also
babes,
like
right.
LOL,
Right,
you know,
right.
that kind of a thing.
I feel like you just slipped into a different dimension where Caroline in the City doesn't exist.
Oh, you know what? That's a world I don't want to know, dude. I'll just tell you right now.
But as we're saying, there's this. So they love their house.
Yeah.
There's this road where trucks have to go 90 miles an hour. They can't go 40. They can't go 30.
This
You're
is
talking about
ridiculous.
Babes or Pet
No,
Cemetery?
I am now talking about Pet Cemetery again.
Wait, are you talking about the Joker, dude?
No, I'm.
All right, just checking.
Babes was like the Joker of sitcoms.
Pure
no,
chaos.
no one's listening now. Go on. Talk about Pet Cemetery.
No,
Right. It's like Ice Road Truckers are
Right.
like there's that level of like do or die intensity in every like 18 wheeler.
Yeah,
that
like
goes
it's a
by
thing.
This
If you
house.
get pulled over on this road, the
Yeah.
cop is just like, speed it up. Let's go.
and it's such a narrow road, so in the middle of nowhere.
I want to know
middle
where
of
it goes
houses,
to.
This is
though.
5 feet from someone's front door.
Yes.
Where
middle
does
of
this road
houses,
go
yeah.
to? Like, what is
Yeah.
the major trade route? Like, because it's like supposed to be like mid-central
Right,
Maine.
yeah.
Are we going to Canada? Like, is
Right.
it that you're trying to get to fucking Prince Edward Island? Like, what is going on? I don't get it. Why they have to
crazy.
speed through this road?
I do have a theory about that, though. Much like there is a reference to Cujo in this movie.
Yeah, that was clever.
I do believe that these are maximum overdrive trucks.
Oh shit! So they're
Wait.
just
Yeah.
controlled by aliens.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
we
That's
do
it.
see at least 2 truckers. How do you explain that, Chris Cadden?
I mean, they're just along for the ride, man.
Yeah.
The aliens need some guys to talk to.
That would
That's
be
true.
pretty cool. I would sign up for that if I don't have to do shit.
Do we think that's supposed to be the same truck at the end?
Yeah, it's a lot of red trucks. A lot of the
Right.
trucks are red. It
Yeah.
might be the same. It might not be.
Right. I mean, I wasn't checking license plates,
Yeah.
but when he pulled up and opened the door for her, I was like, is that where he's adding some extra gas on the flames here? You know.
Oh,
that
I
might
don't
be
know.
possible.
Actually,
But then they
yeah.
don't do anything. I mean, he just
No.
makes that like,
Well-
thank you for not getting me a ticket.
Yeah, which is
Usually
weird.
I hit kids every time I drive. You're my good luck charm.
By the way, sorry about killing your kid. Click.
And there's another boy that dies in this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we'll
Hit by
get
a
to
truck
it.
as
That guy
well.
got hit by a
Yes,
truck while
exactly.
driving.
It's a huge problem. You could the town could lobby to lower the speed limit. It's
Fred
not
Gwynne
that big of a deal.
Says it from the get-go. He's like, by the way, one thing with this town,
Yeah, it's like
always gonna get hit by a truck.
we tried several years ago, back in the '60s, to get that speed limit reduced, and while the mayor was impeached, they burned him at the stake.
Yeah,
So-
Paul LePage ain't going to let that happen.
Oh man, sick Paul LePage
They
reference.
signed a bill, had the clerk run it over to the courthouse, but he got hit by a truck on the way there. His voice it's 50% JFK and 50% Jimmy Stewart, right?
Yeah,
I was trying to do the math.
Yeah, it's that's a comfortable blend.
Right.
But
Right.
it's at an octave because he's like 6'9".
Right,
Like that
it's
is
the
just
deep
so
end. Right,
deep.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're trying to make a homemade Fred Gwynne voice, yes,
Yes.
that's how you would make it, I believe.
A homemade voice.
But I think about the trucking. One more thing is that it's a Stephen King thing where it's like he's a guy that's a very prolific writer, and he's a very much of like a dad kind of horror writer. It's like you're having dinner with your kids. Like, that fucking road out there,
Right.
every time they come by, they're gonna fucking kill it. Ooh, they're gonna kill a kid. They're gonna kill a kid.
Well,
Click,
dude,
click,
that's
click,
no.
click,
He
click,
was
kill the kid.
inspired to write the book after his daughter's cat was run over by a car.
These kids, they're maniacs. These cars might come to life. Ooh, the cars come to life. Click, click, click,
Ooh,
click, click, click.
maniac.
Oh,
Nice.
But it feels like he made it like, I mean, this comes after Cujo.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was inspired by his daughter's cat dying. I mean, this speaks to like Stephen King's focus and his prolificness, is that like he gets that idea, he sits down, he writes maybe 90 pages and then goes like, this thing is not going to sustain
Yeah.
an entire book. But rather than give up, he's like, well, let's throw like 5 more crazy things in.
Yeah, totally.
The
It's
kid's got to get hit by the car.
I only got 90 pages. Here,
Right.
let me see. All right, let's get to it. He just blows a huge fucking rail and he gets
Right.
back to it.
You just feel like he's a guy who never abandoned a premise. Like if it
No.
started running dry, he just shifts.
You will make it work.
You'll
You
make it
will
work.
Square
Yeah.
peg round hole that story
Right.
successfully.
Could you turn that TV down? What if the TV? Okay, now the TV is too loud and everyone goes deaf in the town because the TVs are too goddamn loud because no one puts their fucking toys away.
You know what, dude? You're joking, but I don't know. You look through some of those short stories. I bet you find 2 loud TVs now. Absolutely.
But then a truck goes speeding by his window and he runs out and just, slow down, there are kids here.
Well, that's the other crazy thing is that Stephen King famously, like in the late 90s, got hit by a car.
That's right, yeah.
Jogging at night, everyone
Revenge.
was like, right, was he like on sort of speed? Like
Yeah.
there were a bunch of weird circumstances, but that's like 20 plus years after he writes, not
Yeah.
20 plus maybe, but 15 years after he writes this and Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, I
Big
think
truck
it's just
caught
karma.
up with him. Big
Yeah.
truck, like they were, you know what I mean? Like
truck.
they were in a room, a boardroom, and they wanted to get him.
It
get rid of
feels
him.
like he was the protagonist in a Stephen King novel,
Yeah. Andrew,
convinced
did
that
you-
the truck would eventually get him.
Yeah, yeah.
Andrew,
Yeah.
did you say karma?
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, well done. Ish.
You're welcome.
Pun Spotter 3000 just activated.
Yeah, so there's 3 things wrong with this house. A, it's the road that's going to kill you for
Yes.
sure.
Right.
B, there's this path that nobody knows where it goes. And C, it's Fred Gwynne, who is the neighbor that if you, and I think that they're Chicago people, they're not New York people, because the way I deal with every neighbor I have is, oh, cool, man. I'm just going to, talk to you. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Like, you know
goodbye.
that road? It's like, oh, yeah, definitely. Go, Pats. I'll talk to you soon.
But
And
this
close the
is
door.
it's some terrifying shit though, because this dad is like, "What's with that path?" And he goes, "Oh, that path Great story about that path. Tell you some other time, though. Bye. I'd be like, wait a second.
He
Where does
strings
this
them along.
go?
Yeah.
Whose weirdo cabin does this take me to?
Sounds like that should cost you a dinner. Maybe I come over for dinner one time. I'll tell you about the path. One
least
of
a
your
couple of
floors might be
six-packs.
haunted. That sounds like lunch. Talk to you tomorrow.
At least a couple of 6-packs, dude, because this dude is drinking throughout this
Yes.
movie.
But once you find out there's a pet cemetery on your land,
Yeah.
bulldoze it.
Yeah,
I don't
done.
give a
Outta
shit
here.
what main townies like to go
Yeah.
there and throw corpses.
But are you sure that it's his property, though?
I don't know. I mean, either
Because you're
way,
going back in the
Yeah,
thick
that
of
either
the
way,
fence.
you're doing a cut through your property. That path is clearly in their yard.
Oh.
Put up barbed wire fences because it
Yep.
turns out Fred Gwynne's dog in 1924 died from barbed wire.
Yikes, dude. That's some,
How does a dog die from barbed wire unless someone twisted
Oh.
gets to the dog?
I don't know, man. It's like some fucked up where the red fern grows shit. That dog got cut up by what? The red fern?
Really?
It's like a
I'm not
pokey-
familiar. Is that
The
a Stephen
dog-
King film?
No,
No,
it's
Eric.
classic children's literature.
It's one of
And-
those books that teachers recommend to kids and then kids cry for 2 days.
Yeah, because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. Like he loves his dogs, and then it's the last 40 pages is like this dog's intestines fell out because it
Yeah.
got stuck in a bramble.
It's kind of the Joker of childhood novels.
Yes.
God damn it. But the problem,
Right.
Uh-huh.
to Eric's point,
Stephen
put a-
King is kind of the Joker of horror writers. or-
He
Yes.
I move into this house.
Yeah.
There's this fucking death road right next to my house.
Mhm.
I am putting up a huge fence to
Immediately.
Yes.
at least to
Yes.
keep my kids
Yeah, done.
away from this thing. And that's like day one shit.
But
so,
they,
so you're saying you want to build that wall?
Yeah, I would like to
That's
build
what
a.
he wants to
We're gonna
happen.
keep the trucks out. Oh no, I love truckers.
Wait a minute. I don't know what I love and hate. Give me a few days.
These pets, they're coming back to life. They're coming over the border from Maine.
All these dogs have to die like dogs. something Indians. I don't know.
So
These parents are the worst parents
they're
in cinema
fucking
history.
terrible. And I
Yeah.
mean, like, also they get help immediately. Like, it's a huge house, but there's a lot of, to Griffin's point, there's a lot of stuff. It's like, I don't know, what if this lady commits suicide? It's like,
Right.
whoa,
This
who
this
is
woman, Missy, who we don't even know anything about
Yeah.
except for she's just doing a Fred Gwynne impression.
yes.
Yeah.
And then she's like doing their sheets and laundry.
That's
and then
right.
she later hangs herself.
Because she can't stand the cancer anymore. She's in too much pain. Is
Right.
that what
She
it
had a
is?
bellyache
Stomach
that she
cancer.
never looked
Right.
into that turned out to be cancer.
This is one of those. I feel like Stephen King, notorious for like, oh man, what a good hook.
Yeah.
What a good premise. He's feeding on something we all have at the back of our psyche.
Right.
And this is a movie, I have not read the book, but this movie certainly has like 20 different major, completely disconnected events.
Yes.
Can we
Yep.
quickly
100%.
talk about the Denise Crosby's Crosby?
Crosby.
Yeah.
Her fucking sister and how
That's
ridiculous this is.
another
and
great
how this-
example.
it doesn't even belong in this movie.
No.
She's got a sister, turns out, Zelda
Yeah.
from back in the day in Chicago, who her parents tied up in a bedroom and refused to let out until she got like crippled and insane.
Because she had spinal meningitis, which apparently
Yeah.
turns her into one of the Morlocks from the Time Machine.
I was going to say
That's not-
Gollum, but yes.
Right. I paused the movie and went, okay, come the fuck on. Let me Google spinal meningitis. Guess what
Yeah.
it looks like? People who are in pain. It's not a mutation.
It's a monster.
They
It's
don't
weird.
look any physically different.
She looks like
Clickety-clack, it's a
Pumpkinhead.
monster.
She's got purple flesh. She looks like the librarian from Ghostbusters after her face like opens up.
And she's writhing and is stretchy. And there's
Insane.
It's
super.
almost like The Exorcist here.
Right.
And I mean, I guess the idea is like, oh, that's her like memory of her. Like, you know what I mean? She like remembers her being freakish, but it's also like she has no facial features. She has no eyebrows. She's like a Kardashian.
And it has nothing to do.
Well, she just looks
Good
like
Star Trek
one of
film.
the botched alien clones of Amanda Plummer.
Yes.
Yes. There's some
Yes.
Amanda Plummer in there. There's a little bit.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with this.
No.
Put that in a different movie.
Right. In a cleaner, tighter movie, I'm watching it and I'm going, oh, this is kind of interesting. So what they're trying to set up is that emotionally, this story is about people not being able to cope with death.
Right.
In the same way the daughter couldn't process the concept of death and the father felt compelled to bring the cat back to life.
Yeah.
In the same way that he felt compelled to bring his son back to life.
Yeah.
She's got this albatross around her neck, which is that she's lived with this guilt over this death that she always prayed for as a child.
And
But then there's no payoff because then she just gets murdered by her zombie son.
yeah, and I can get all of that in a nice, tightly written
Right.
monologue.
Right.
I don't need to see this. I
No.
don't need to see this orc fucking tied up in this bed,
No.
dude.
I don't get it. So the dad goes to work on his first day. This kid gets hit by one of those fucking trucks.
Yeah.
That's
And his
unbelievable.
brains are flying out of his head the entire time. And they're running him up there to the doctor's office. Like, he's still fine. He's all right.
Yeah.
Let's get the doctor to look at him.
He looks like massive head wound Harry. Like he
Yes,
does
yes.
have that like fully open.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. I mean, once again, this doctor is failing the most basic doctor test of all time, which is, can you tell if this thing is alive or dead?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he goes like, "Oh, call the ambulance," and I was like, call the coroner,
Wait,
dude."
too fucking late.
Yeah,
I
But
feel
it
like
comes back for a second, right? There's like a little scare, like, oh,
Right.
but it turns out to be Satan or something talking to
a
him.
ghost thing.
Yeah.
They're
I mean,
using him as a vessel, kind of, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like at the outskirts of this is Ludlow, Maine, I think it is.
Okay.
I might be wrong there. But like, I feel like they should have one of those. They have them in factories. It's in like Super 8 and stuff. The 0 days
Yes.
since accident.
Yes.
Except for it's always 0 days since
Yeah.
somebody got fucking killed by a truck.
Right.
It's on that main road, man, and they got to get where they're going.
they do. They gotta
Trucks
get.
are like the Joker of cars.
They are.
The
They are. No, it's true. I don't even know why you guys are laughing. It's just true.
It's just
Eric's just slinging facts, Steve.
true facts
Yeah,
stated.
he's like the Joker of jokes over here.
my face is purple. I don't know if you can't tell. It's absolutely purple. There's a thing where they want to castrate the cat because it's a tomcat who likes to go around and is the Houdini of cats, by the way, because he sleeps with a little girl.
Yeah.
You see Denise Crosby put her daughter to bed. She closes the door, and then the cat is outside. I'm like, how is this cat getting out?
Yeah, magic cat, dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a magic cat.
Yeah.
But there's this weird business where the next morning he's taking the cat out to get fixed, and he's going to go to work. And the daughter's like, "Well, the cat's going to be okay, right, Dad?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know. Might happen. Things happen under the gas, man." And she's like, "What?" And the mom is like, "Promise her he's going to be okay." And
Yeah.
he does. And then he fucking gets right in Denise Crosby's face, like, "If anything happens to that cat, it happens 1 out of 1,000 times, but you're fucking doing it." I'm like, tense morning.
Tense
Tense
morning.
morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Did I also mishear this? But does he not say that he's had the cat since college? That it's like his old cat?
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh.
Yes, I should bring up something from the book.
Uh-huh.
In the book, he is obsessed with the virility of his cat.
Right.
That sounds
I
right.
don't
his
quite understand.
cat fucks.
He's really into the fact that
Yeah.
his cat fucks.
Right.
Like he's like, there's some line in it where he's like, "Oh, the zest went out of his eyes. He doesn't want to fuck anymore." And I'm like, "What? Why? Why? You're a husband. Like, just fucking focus."
Because the movie kind of makes it seem like she's the only one who cares about the cat, the daughter.
Yeah,
It's like very
right.
much her pet. And then he has this one offhand reference to like, look, I've had her for a long time, or had him, obviously. He fucks female cats.
Generally.
Right. Don't want to imply that female cats can't fuck.
Here's my cat Fritz.
Well, it's named after Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
So they nickname it Church, and
Right.
Winston Churchill also
That
like to
dude
have.
fucked.
Yeah,
That's
he
his fuck.
fucked
The fuck.
animals. Yeah.
That cat should have been morbidly obese, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big cat.
Churchill, kind of the Joker of Parliament. I mean, if we
Absolutely.
really
Oh, yeah,
think about
that's what
it.
they've said.
Can we
Yes.
back up for a few seconds?
Yes.
Because Steve
You
hilariously...
want to cram another Joker reference in? That
No,
I'm just curious. We can.
I the Joker
we
of something?
Certainly can.
No, I just want to point out that Steve said that the cat was going to be castrated.
Well, I mean, not
no,
castrated.
but that's
neutered,
fucking
right?
hilarious.
Neutered.
Well, actually, his daughter says that like I don't want Church's nuts to be cut.
Yeah.
Which is great. Nuts cut. I like the combo.
Nuts cut.
And that's because of that extra character Missy apparently taught the daughter that.
Right. She talked
Yeah.
about nuts a lot.
But this crazy chain of events of him saying, like, the daughter asking, is anything ever going to happen to the cat?
Right.
Then he goes like, well, I had it for a very long time since college. Cats get old, things happen.
Yeah.
And the daughter's like, I don't want it to happen. He's like, look, if I had my way,
Yeah.
cat would live to be 100. And
It's
then
just-
she promises that nothing's going to happen to the cat. And then he yells at her
yeah.
Right.
Furious.
for making a promise she can't keep.
Which is stupid though, because you know how many times my parents lied to me when I was a kid? Like, what are you making a big deal about
But
this
also, he brought up the subject.
for? Right.
He was the one who was teasing the like, oh, pretty old.
Yeah.
He fucks pretty hard. Who knows how many fucks he has left in him?
I mean, how many cats die under anesthesia? By the way,
Cats die
Like, just
all
chill
the
out.
time.
Chill out. Like, just let's go to
Yeah.
work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's just go to work.
And just lie to your kid. It doesn't matter.
It-
The
it's
people lie to their children
Tackle
all
the
time.
dead cat problem when you got a dead cat.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly.
And only then. So, Fred Gwynne is kind of ingratiating himself with the family. He's like, "Oh yeah," and they
Dude
go.
starts fucking popping in, which I don't
Yeah.
appreciate.
Jesus,
Just
that
fucking
was-
opening your front door.
That is the scariest part of this movie.
Yeah.
Across the street, weirdo pervert neighbor just walks in. No, thank you, Maine.
A guy that could actually play Herman Munster if he wanted to. That's
Right.
the body type I don't want in my doorway.
I auditioned for the role of Herman Munster. Gave it to a much more handsome. Can you imagine?
the movie just stops dead.
Turns to the camera and winks. It is one of those things too, where it's like they never try to make the argument that the two of them have become friends.
Yes.
No, they're just sort of like,
He
well, we're
just,
here.
Right, continues accepting this guy's presence in every aspect of his life.
I think he keeps coming over because his wife doesn't like warm Budweiser the way that Fred Gwynne does. So it's like, well, this dude loves hanging on the porch.
And I think there was a thing where it's like, all right, we're going to take you, Fred Gwynne, to our favorite restaurant. He's like, all right, we'll go 1 for 1. I'll take you to the fucking Pet Cemetery. These are great lobster rolls, but have you seen a dead dog recently?
Best pet cemetery in town. Aside from like, even if you don't believe that you're in the beginning of a supernatural Stephen King novel,
Right.
aesthetically unpleasing.
Mhm.
Like if
Yeah.
that's that close to your home, you just
Yeah.
be like, I don't love this location.
No.
On one side, Fury Road. On the other side, the creepiest pet cemetery in history.
You
Yeah.
say that, but whenever he has, he finishes his Budweisers for the night, he takes all the empties and buries them in the pet cemetery.
No,
And
genius.
they all get refilled. He hasn't had to pay for a beer in years.
But they
Only
come
have
back
about one
evil,
6-pack
though.
in my life.
They come back, it's evil beer.
They come back
like
as Strohs.
Yeah, it's Strohs. I put the Budweiser bottles in the ground. They come back Strohs.
I don't
take it.
mind.
Yeah.
When in full Bud, now it's Bud Light with lime.
Oh, this batch got Clamato in it. Truly the devil's work.
That is
So they take this field trip to the pet cemetery.
Yeah.
It's a whole full fucking family excursion.
And he's like, this is where my dog died in the 20s, and over here there's gold. Because the thing is, he's like, by the way, like 80% of these animals were definitely killed by trucks that are
Yeah.
right over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some were barbed wire. The goldfish, maybe been a truck thing. Maybe you put your goldfish out on the road.
Now,
Yeah.
this was a weird detail, though. As I was thinking, while watching this, thinking about the Errol Morris movie Gates of Heaven.
Mhm.
This is about a pet cemetery
Yeah.
kind of situation. Much classier establishment
Sure.
than this place. But the bird cage that's hanging, and it's like, so are you just bringing the dead bird in the cage? And it's like, well, I'm going to plant that right there.
Why are people throwing junk in here?
Yeah, well, that's
It's just
the thing.
garbage.
Also,
That's the
why
thing.
is it misspelled? I kept on waiting
Yeah.
for that to have some
Main
larger...
public schooling. I think
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
Is that just a flourish? Is that just Stephen King pulling like an Inglorious Bastards and like?
Yes, I think so. It's just like, a child would spell it that way.
Right.
It's the innocence of children that bury animals.
Yeah.
I do like how Denise Crosby's character can't fucking handle it. 'Cause
She's fucking
Yeah.
the girl is like,
livid.
"Mommy, wow, it says Pet Cemetery." I was like, well, it's misspelled, but it says Pet Cemetery.
She's livid about the spelling error.
That's the other crazy thing is in one scene the daughter is like terrified by the very concept of death.
Yeah.
Sure.
And in the next scene, she's the only person jamming out at the pet cemetery. She finds it all so amusing.
And I think
So
that's the-
look, it's a fish, Daddy, a dead fish.
That's a victory for Fred Gwynne though, because
Yes.
Denise Crosby is pissed off, and
Yeah.
he's like, "No, you got to learn about it sometime." And then she's like, "Yay, dead
But
dog!"
Fred Gwynne also spoils this movie because he's just like, let me creep her out for a second. Hey, cemeteries are where the dead speak.
Right? Yeah, he does fucking up
And she
immediately.
freaks out. He's like, oh, no, I didn't mean it that way. I mean by the tombstones.
So convoluted. The tombstones have words on them, so those are words communicated to other people when they come to the cemetery, and then they read the other words.
And every fifth grave, of course, will come to life and kill you. But that's just. But the dead are speaking to you, little girl.
What I
Enjoy your
appreciate,
nightmare.
I was thinking about this because it doesn't have it in this movie, but a couple years ago we covered the sequel on the show, and I was going back and look at the IMDb page, and they had some frame grabs, and I realized in Pet Sematary 2, much more inclusive. You see a tombstone, definitely a Star of David.
Oh, thank goodness. You know
Yeah,
what?
so we're letting the Jewish pets in now, which is
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
That makes sense.
I
You're
appreciate
gefilte
that.
fish.
The rare Jewish raccoon.
So like, this kid dies under the doctor's care. He tells him like, I'm going to come to you later. And there's this weird scene where he's having a dream and he wakes.
A totally normal thing for someone to say right before they die. By the way, I'll see you in about 2.5 days.
It's like,
It's
I'll
a
see you
great
soon.
last word.
Coupled with like the soil.
Is
what
bad.
the fuck is
It's
the
like the
line?
soil. It's like
The soil is sour. The ground is sour.
you cannot go past or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's like soil is the
Stonier.
stonier in your. Yeah, it's some ridiculous
By the
line.
way, Fred Gwynne also has a line when they're at the pet cemetery. It's like, this land's no good, only for corpses.
Enjoy
How is
it.
any land only good for corpses?
Yeah, and also, what land
yeah.
is bad for corpses?
Yes,
But the beach.
exactly.
The beach.
Well,
Oh, I found it. It's the soil of a man's heart is stonier.
Oh wow.
Fuck does that even mean?
but also, the only thing he really freaks out about is how did that guy know my name?
Oh, that's right, because he says
Not-
stonier, Lewis.
Right, not the insane shit he said or the fact that he promised to see him again soon.
And by the way, this guy is sleeping like a baby when this goes. Like I would
Yeah.
not sleep for weeks.
Yes.
By the way, this scene, little trivia here,
Oh.
had to be filmed twice because the first time they filmed it, the character, and this is how it's written in the book, the character is only in his underwear, and they found it too sexy. They were like, it's not scary enough. This
Wow.
guy's too sexy.
The jogger?
No. I'm sorry. The dream sequence. The dad
Right.
is sleeping. No,
Okay.
the dad is sleeping, and he's in his underwear, and they're like, "This is way too sexy." They-
Whoa.
Oh, he was just like tighty whitey, like
Yeah.
accidentally hanging brain. you think,
Exactly.
maybe?
Like,
Is that a
They're-
rock and bar?
yeah. Does that happen to you, Griffin? Do they have to
All the
shoot
time.
stuff on the tick?
All
Yeah,
the time.
it
They've had
happens.
to do a lot of CGI correction.
Yeah, that sounds
Because when
right.
people watch the show, sometimes when my friends watch the show, they go, "Oh, it's kind of embarrassing that you have no bulge in a superhero costume."
Yeah, sure.
It's like negative space, and I have to tell them, like, no, they actually spent millions of dollars making it look like that. Don't believe that that's a practical effect.
That's why season 2 took so long to come
so
out.
expensive because I got a killer hog.
I like the idea of like the producers sitting down smoking cigars, like, "Well, this scene is. Well, now I'm hard. Great. Now I'm hard. Awesome. This
There
guy's got
was-
a huge dick, and now I'm hard. Refilm it."
Well, one of the posters for season 1 was the Tick and I like from behind.
Right, yeah.
And they gave me the tightest ass in the world, and I have no butt.
Sure.
I mean, all jokes aside, because I do obviously have a killer hog.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, no butt.
And this photo was taken without like zero clench request or anything.
But
None
like,
of that.
Can a no butt be tight?
I mean, I'll say this: I got a loose no butt.
Okay. All right.
And my stunt double on season 1 had a great tuchus. And when I would be watching him do the stunts, I'd be like, God, I wish I filled out my suit that way. And this suit was made for me and he fills it out better. So I warned my friends, like, hey, the way to tell whether or not I
Stunt
did
ass.
the stunt is to look at the tuchus and see if it's looking
that's
at the
great.
tight. So then the photo comes up for the poster. And my friends go, "Oh, so what? You had your stunt double do the poster shoot?" And I said, "No, I remember doing that. I know that's
Did
me."
they inject you at all?
Who
inject your
fucking
ass?
said in like the marketing department, like, we gotta hire someone to
Oh,
tighten
man.
up this butt?
So you think it's like Photoshop?
Someone spent work and energy photoshopping my butt. I have the raw image from set. I compared it.
Hollywood is disgusting.
You've got this pegboard at home, this red string all
Zero
over the place. Yeah,
definition.
Yeah, for sure.
Flat as a pancake. There's the backside. It's a little saggy, even if anything.
Sure.
I can't fill it out. And then this poster is just two beautiful honey baked hams with real like shadowing, contouring. I was like,
Oh.
someone who like, I want to, I'm a visual artist. I'm a graphic designer. I want to make art. I want to design posters. Hey, Himmelberg, you're on the butt this week.
But
I drew butt patrol.
Yeah.
Great.
somebody loved this butt. Like you look at it,
Yeah.
you know somebody
I mean,
really took some
It
time.
looks like they were like doing the like Scarlett Johansson on the Avengers, like the full treatment on me.
Or they just did like Lost in Translation. We're able to fill that
Yes.
out and turn it around.
But do you find
Literally.
it flattering at all? Like it's like someone really focused on your ass and was trying to accentuate it and get the viewers drooling.
I mean, that's the positive takeaway. My takeaway is my butt was that bad that they felt the need to overcompensate that much on a show we're not selling on sex appeal at all.
Well,
Someone from another department was fired so they could pay to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, the butt's bad. It's
Heads
so
rolled. Amazon stock went down the day that they got the raw photos.
So this ghost
Yeah.
takes this dude
sure.
to the pet cemetery.
Mhm.
And by the way, so Steve, you were right. The second take of this, he's wearing his scrubs.
Yes.
If there's anything you shouldn't get in bed with at the end of the day, it's the scrubs that you've been wearing at the medical college.
Which
Right.
Also
it's covered
so
with blood.
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
the hell knows
Right.
what?
it's the same thing you buried this other guy in, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Victor Pascow is that guy's name.
Yes,
by the way.
Pascal, the character.
Pascal, right?
Yeah,
Because
very
they think
important.
it's Pax Cow,
Right. Yeah.
right?
And that's a Stephen King-y, like, oh, what's, you know what I mean, red rum, like, what's the
Right.
word mean kind of nonsense.
Totally. Which also shockingly comes to nothing. in
Oh,
this movie,
weird.
really. Yeah,
Weird.
It's totally shocking.
So yeah, he kind of gives him all these warnings, like, but not like clear warnings. Like the warning you want to do is like, look, this your neighbor sucks. First
Yeah.
and foremost, don't listen to anything that old fuck says. You know, go over watch the Celtic games, whatever you guys want to do. But when he's like bury something in the pet cemetery, it's gonna come back evil. It's not gonna be worth it, and just don't do it. But it's like all this elliptical horse shit about the ground and the soil and the whatever.
Beyond that, there is one suggestion he needs to give him, which is build a fucking fence
Yep.
stat.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
He's warning him about things 7 or 8 incidents down the line.
Yeah.
Right. You
The
could
one
just
thing-
solve it.
right.
Just a quick piece
Yeah.
of ghost advice.
Hey,
Build a fence.
quick advice. Your son and cat will both get hit by trucks if you don't watch it.
Oh, no, you can't do that. I like looking at you and your family.
I was gonna say, then he'd have to ignore his grudge with the local fence maker,
Oh,
Right.
which he
that's
clearly
right.
has been saucing for a long
Right.
time.
Yes.
Also weird too. I mean, he says like, "Oh, and don't go over there." They like go. There's a shot of the bramble, and it's like glowing blue, like
Yeah.
wah,
Sure.
wah, you know, I mean,
Right.
classic.
The
bad
ghost
sign.
tells him not to go there, right?
Yes, the ghost on their little ghost field trip back
Right.
to the.
And then he goes
cemetery.
back home and goes to sleep thinking it's a dream. And he wakes up and his feet are dirty. And he takes his sheets and puts it down a laundry chute.
Right, so cancer lady can deal with it. That's her
Right.
problem now.
But this guy's like a millionaire with having a laundry chute.
Well, I mean,
I think it's just an old
insane.
house.
Well, still.
Well, no,
It's
he's got a
impre-
lady
it-
guy.
it
Nelson
impressed me.
Rockefeller?
It impressed me.
Jeff Bezos just got a laundry chute just today.
I love Eric watching these movies like, wow, a slat.
I guarantee Jeff Bezos just burns all of his clothes after he wears it
And
once.
that's also possible.
and-
Running water. Wow.
That's the most disgusting part of this movie, though, is when he flips over the sheets, much like the first
Yeah.
Godfather movie. And it's just these disgusting, muddy feet in his bed.
Yeah.
I was like, no! It's awful. It's so disgusting.
And how did Denise Crosby wake up with that and not be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're telling me that he crawled into bed once she was already asleep
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the dirtiest feet known to man, and she didn't feel something in the bed?
These are
think-
Encino Man feet is what we're talking
got
about.
You're
Encino Man
absolutely
feet.
right.
Yeah.
But I think it sort of speaks to a thing because we had it with, they had that little, snap with the cat, explaining, the death thing or whatever. I think this is a classic Stephen King troubled marriage family.
yeah.
Oh, I can confirm that in the book they have a real drag 'em out about
Oh,
that
really?
scene. It goes on for like 5 pages.
Because
Wow.
the stuff
The
with
horror.
the father-in-law feels like it comes out of nowhere.
Holy
Oh.
fuck.
The next day,
There's
we're
clearly backstory missing to why the
Yes.
dad hates.
Absolutely.
exactly. Well, I don't.
because he's against tying up a fucking daughter in a
What?
bedroom and
Yeah.
letting her die.
Yeah.
Right.
But they go to it's Thanksgiving. Denise Crosby's like, well, I'll see you. Well, you know the rules with Thanksgiving. You can't come. You have to stay here.
We take
Well,
a small commuter plane.
we take it to Chicago. You stay here because
Yeah.
of whatever is going on in this family. Chris, do you know what's going on in this family? What is the deal?
Well, because here was my suspicion, because there's, after their little fight, they have that whole thing where she's like talking about how, she gets scared when there's like conflict or whatever. And the conflict is about, it's not after the fight. The daughter is like, what happens when people die?
yeah, sure.
And he's like, some people believe you go to heaven. Some people believe you come back as a little kid. Some people believe you just like snap out or whatever. And she's like, well, is that what you believe? And he's like, I don't know. He kind of basically says that he's an atheist.
Yeah.
And she overhears it and she's like, oh, I heard you talking to our daughter about not believing in whatever. And she has sort of, she mentions like religious
Mhm.
something. I was suspecting it was a thing where they hate him because he's an atheist.
I can. It's less that in the book, at least. It's more he's just a total piece of shit.
Oh,
Okay.
Like he's in
But
the
the
beginning.
father-in-law is a piece of shit too.
Well, but in the I will say in the book they don't actually get into what happened between the father-in-law and him.
I need a
at
little
all.
bit of that. I
But-
need
but
a
do they-
little bit.
do they get into the fucking sister being chained to a bed?
Yes, they do. That's an extended fucking.
I
That's
mean,
like a
of course it
chapter.
is.
I'm not going to be friends with a dude who did that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't care if I married the
And
daughter.
he's talking about it. He's just like flim-flamming talking about it. I can't deal with that.
But it seems like she spills the beans about this, like for the first time that night.
Mhm.
She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry this happened to you," and I'm like, "All right, you got 2 kids, you're married. That's got to come up sooner. That's
Yeah.
a real problem."
Well, it's the death of the servant there. She kills herself. She hangs
Right.
herself. It's a fun hanging.
It's a classic.
It's a good looking hang.
It's a
classic
clean hang. It's a clean, fun hang.
My
Yeah.
favorite hang of all time. It reminded me of the Moses Leck suicide attempt with the no funeral taped
Yeah.
to him, and
Yeah.
he's gonna hang himself. Classic.
Yeah, she pins her note to herself, which is a little
Yes.
undignified. I would leave it out a little
Yeah,
bit.
you put it somewhere else so they don't have to find the body in order to read the note. You may
Yeah.
put it on the front door.
That's
the
a
front
good
door
move.
is good because I think the thing is like, well, I want them to find it. You know,
Right.
you don't want to
Yeah.
put it in a drawer or something.
Because
Like that.
I'm not cleaning the house before I hang myself.
Definitely
I
not.
just have to do their fucking laundry. You want me to clean my own house too?
yeah, I'd be drinking milk out of the carton before that happened, throwing it somewhere.
It is weird when Denise Crosby goes into the whole speech. It's sort of this tone of like, I'm sorry, it's just I have a secret. I don't like death. Like the point of the sister story is to explain, like it's the Phoebe Cates Christmas monologue.
Yes.
Like here's why I don't like this thing that everyone else likes. It's like no one likes death. What are you talking about?
They stuffed my sick sister in a chimney, and she died.
You say
Ever
that-
since then, I never celebrate death.
And everyone's like, "Woo, death! Awesome! Funeral tomorrow. See you there."
I
You
will
seemed sad at that funeral today. Do you have some secret past tragedy I don't know about?
well, there is one person who really does love death, and that is the Joker.
He does.
Oh, yeah.
The only man
guy.
twisted enough to laugh at a funeral.
I really love the house in this flashback when she's telling this sister
Oh,
story.
sure.
It's a running theme throughout the film, but weirdo, creepy paintings on the wall.
Oh, sure.
Not really looking like family members.
No.
No.
It's kind of awesome.
I also love this sequence where she's just like, and then I screamed and screamed, Zelda's dead, Zelda's dead,
Yeah.
until the fat, weird neighbors came over and looked at it.
Also, pick up a phone. I mean, and it's like 1960 something. Maybe 911 doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But you can be like, "Hello, operator. Connect me to the police." Like something.
Yeah, connect me to the death department.
Exactly, of this town. But I love the dad here. He has this thing. He gives her a big hug. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. Your family's terrible. By the way, remember when I said your family's terrible? I was right. Also, you need a Valium." And she's like, "I don't take Valium." He's like,
Yeah.
"You do tonight." And I'm like, "Wait, what is going on?"
Yep, let me go to my
roofie?
fun cabinet.
Exactly. I mean, like if she
It's
says
in a leather case, like a scalpel.
also, why do you have Valium? I don't take Valium. Do you every night? Every night.
Yeah, no, I'm loaded right now.
That would explain his performance.
So she takes the kids for Thanksgiving because of whatever this unspeakable horror is.
Right.
He's got the weekend to himself, and the cat dies like immediately. And
You had one job.
Yes.
One job.
Don't kill the cat.
One job.
That's it.
the cat's also neutered. I know how to close a door. I have 2 cats. I close the fucking door
Yeah.
every time I leave the house.
Nice.
That's it.
You know,
That's the trick.
maybe it's an indoor cat now.
Okay, yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, why are you letting it wander outside when you know that there's death everywhere
He's
around this
neutered.
house?
He's got nowhere to go now.
Yeah,
Why is he going to
totally.
go to a bar? He has nothing to gain.
You totally chopped that dude's social calendar.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter.
Cut his nuts.
He's just staying home watching Ellen during the day.
Quick thing, by the way, about just one final thing on this woman hilariously hanging herself.
Oh, sure, please.
Because we got to mention, we cut to her funeral. Stephen King is the
Oh,
minister.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And this is the saddest
Looking
shit
beautiful,
ever.
by the way. Looks
Yeah.
great.
Oh, he looks great.
like the
So
Joker of
good.
ministers. Well, he kind of actually looks like Jim Jones.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he
These
has
fucking glasses.
the glasses, very Jim Jones haircut right
Yeah,
about here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
This
totally.
dude has definitely got a cult.
But what was weird was Fred Gwynne and the dad
Yeah.
front row at this funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What are we talking
Seats of
about?
honor.
We were tailgating before the funeral.
Well, I like the idea that her mother is behind Fred Gwynne's like, could you move your head? Sorry, I was here first.
Probably shown
should've-
up earlier.
Just like, I got fucking Herman Munster sitting in front of me at my daughter's funeral.
Can I tell you my thought I kept having during every Fred Gwynne scene in this movie?
Yeah.
Because his performance is great, his voice is great, but he's one of those guys where you just go like, how was that a face?
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, who else is like that? Ron Perlman. Like every time I see Ron Perlman in a movie, I go like, how is that a face?
Yeah,
There's, like,
Ron Perlman, the entire cast of Cheers.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Every time I look in the mirror.
Harvey Keitel.
My thought the whole time was imagining the 60s black and white sitcom version of Hellboy starring Fred Gwynne.
Oh my God, that sounds so good.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, it's a little fish person. What's your deal, buddy?
You get like oh God, you get nothing. I've got nothing.
Yeah,
It's
Nothing,
really good.
that's fine.
When creatures go bump in the night, we bump back.
Oh.
See, I could not think of a single fucking line.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rasputin's here.
That's my favorite
All
line in
right,
Hellboy.
we're in the second season of the show. Now we got to fight elves for some reason. They live under the Brooklyn Bridge.
It's one of those there golden armies.
Fred Gwynne also mentions at this funeral, he's like, sad to see Missy go. Had a lot of time left in her, I thought. I was like, really?
She also had a lot of cancer in her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid God.
Now I gotta clean my own goddamn sheets. All right, sorry, Missy. Goodbye.
Lost the town launderer.
Kind of a dick move on her part.
Actually, the funeral part would have made more sense. In the book, Missy doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
He has a wife,
That makes
Really?
and
more sense.
she has cancer. And that
And
it's-
she's doing the laundry.
and well, yeah, she's doing the laundry.
Oh, weird.
I, at this point in the film, thought to myself, did I miss something? Was this character Fred Gwynne's wife? Because
Right.
it feels weird that we'd spend this much time on someone.
There is no reason to change that from the book.
No.
Yeah.
I don't understand
No.
that. And Stephen King wrote this screenplay.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? I don't
So the cat dies immediately.
Yes.
And like Fred Gwynne's like talked to this little girl once or twice, and you know that they're buddies. They're like work friends kind of.
You may
Yeah,
say
right.
she's my best friend.
I mooch off your dad for beer.
Right.
You mooch off
Is
your dad for
your
life.
daughter home? I want to just talk. I'm her best friend.
The thing they don't explain in the movie is that he's also her preschool teacher.
Right. Oh,
They
sure.
cut out all the scenes of him going, now we're going to learn our ABC.
Oh, this here is green.
You might need to know this if you're ever pulled over by highway patrol. Let's do it backwards. Ellie, please lead the class.
Your Fred Gwynne's getting a little walk in it.
Yeah.
I don't have one. I'm just doing the best I got.
So yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Ellie is gonna be so up. And look, the dad is like, oh well, this is how she's gonna learn about that. It's like, oh no, but Ellie can't take it. And I'm like, what? It's none of your business. This is my.
Also, you're the one who started telling her that all the pets talk in the
Yes,
cemetery.
and 72 hours ago, you took her on a field trip to a cemetery.
Mr. Spooky.
You told the parents, kids got to learn sometime.
Yeah, no.
But
what?
this is no good time. Why now?
on
think-
Thanksgiving Eve. Oh no, Ellie will be so devastated.
I think it's a thing where he has now had a chance to evaluate her.
Right.
She flunked the pet cemetery.
Oh,
field
I
trip.
see.
No. She's not ready for that yet. Your kid's a little bit of a loser.
Yeah, she didn't get the blue rose.
Yeah.
She's going to have to take remedial grief.
And this guy is so like, you know what? This is the time. And this is exactly when you go, oh, okay, man. He's like, when somebody tells me how to bury my cat, it's like, all right, dude, I'm going to get it. Yeah, it's getting cold out here. What time is it? Frasier's on. Whatever. You go in. But he's like, no. I've got this other thing we're going to do. We're going to go much farther out. And we go out into the deep, evil pet cemetery.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
they cross the Bramble Bridge or whatever.
Another
and-
example of like, why aren't they the same cemetery?
Yes.
Yes.
Why do we need this
Why?
other thing?
Yeah.
Oh, and going with the other of like,
I
seeing-
don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. Not that one, but the one for the back. No, keep going to the pet cemetery.
I don't want to be buried in an Indian burial ground.
Yeah, exactly.
This movie's not really about the pet cemetery.
No.
Oh, did you take a left? You want to take a right? And so on. And so forth.
But when they cross the brambles
Yeah.
and like Fred Gwynn's like, shh. Oh no. That was a ghost quake. like there's like an energy force going on, and it's just like it's a ghost earthquake. That's all I could think of.
This is when he's talking about the loon, right? And
Yes,
he's like,
yeah.
it's a loon. Did you read the trivia about this?
Yes.
And it's in the book too. There's a Wendigo loose in the woods.
Whatever.
What?
There's
Not in the
just
movie.
a Wendigo.
You cut out a whole monster from this
Hashtag
movie.
not in the
And-
movie.
All right,
but you hear it growling.
for new listeners, what is a Wendigo?
It's
And
like
when I
it's
say
a-
new listeners, I mean me.
He's sort of like a snow Bigfoot, but not quite an
Isn't it a
abominable
Yeti?
snowman. He's Yeti adjacent.
It's like a Native American Yeti-ish
Yeah, yeah.
cousin
And
or
it
something.
eats human flesh.
I
Is
just
that
keep
right?
on thinking of
Sure.
the X-Men villain
Right,
Wendigo
right.
that is a white
That's what
beast
I'm running
type
it in my
thing.
head.
Yeah.
But she's kind of the white Sasquatch.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
They would
yeah.
always repaint the Sasquatch action figures to
What
make them
about
Wendigo.
what about the white Sasquatches? All right, the brown they're taking the jobs. They're taking the monster money.
Monster money.
Monster, yes,
The
monster money.
we're gonna tax relief for monster money. Okay.
There were bad Wendigos on both sides.
It is. I feel like no one's discussing the fact that Trump just passed a massive tax cut to the Hotel Transylvania. He's no longer about looking after the 1%. He's about looking after
Wait,
literal fucking monsters.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna open the Trump Hotel and Casino in Transylvania. It's gonna be fantastic.
I did the mash. I did the monster mash.
And now Drax's part of the band. We're all having a good time. It's a lyric in that goddamn song. 'Cause
I know.
Dracula was a holdout during the Monster Mash until the end of the song.
Oh, I
Totally
see.
right.
And
He's
now
a real wallflower.
Drax part of the band. Thank you, Jared, for talking to Drax.
He first succeeded in the Middle East, and then he got Dracula to join the monster mash. There's nothing this boy can't do.
Folks, Nosferatu. Don't we love him, folks? Don't we love Nosferatu? He's such a good friend.
So he takes him on this like not to be 260 television, a 3-hour tour of this fucking pet cemetery.
This is horseshit, by the way. There's no way this 9-foot ogre of an old man with a currently breaking skeleton is getting. They're climbing mountains in this.
Yeah.
This guy was saying he was hanging out in 1924. He's not doing
That's
this.
the other crazy thing is that it's not like, oh, this is my pet cemetery in my backyard. I'm the keeper of this.
Right.
It's like apparently it's part of the narrative of this whole town that they know that there's this. shitty-
Everybody's in on it. Yeah.
but no one else talks about it. It's like he acts like he's the mayor of Spooky
We
Town.
also don't meet
is the man.
anyone.
No, you don't meet anyone
We-
else in the town.
No.
I need like the general store keep or
Right.
something.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
That's another thing
Well, the
where
only
the
other person
sequel.
we meet kills herself because of some oblique stomach cancer that no one
Yeah.
could understand.
That's another plus to the sequel too. Is there's more like Anthony Edwards is meeting more people in
Sure,
the community
right.
and shit. There's more characters in it.
But he
It's
has
also like fun classic horror movie trope of like the whole town is like hiding a
Yes.
secret. You
Yeah,
want
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of thing.
everybody's in on it exactly.
Right, even if Fred Gwynn's the face man, it's weird that it's like he's acting like he's the only one who knows about the time a soldier came back to life
Yes.
and walked the streets.
This was great. What was his name?
I don't know.
Billy something.
Tommy-
we'll get
Tommy
there.
Baderman?
Yeah, that sounds right.
We'll
But
get
he
there.
gets him there. and
Timmy
he's-
Baderman.
He's like, all right, I'm gonna stand over here, have a smoke. You go bury that cat. It's
Yeah.
like it's such a good dick move of like, we're right here, and he's like, well, what are we gonna do? You're gonna bury a cat.
But
in
he
the
makes
house.
it like,
I got you there. I got you. I took you all the way. Now get digging.
he makes it sound like it's like, oh, mystical forces and all. You have to do it yourself. Sorry.
yeah. But also, I kind of want to smoke.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to dig when you're smoking.
Get the shakes. Need a nicotine fix.
How does this character not end up being the villain? Because you go, if he's actually pure of heart, what reason does he have to suggest
Yeah.
that they bring the cat
Also,
back to life? He knows how
yes,
slippery a slope it is.
He brought his dog back, Spot, who was apparently not like the dog I knew. It was a
Right.
violent maniac dog. Why are you trying to bring this cat back
He's
at all?
like the
Plus
keeper
you-
of the secret.
Yes, and plus you know about Timmy Baderman, who came back from the war, was buried up there,
Yeah.
and was a fucking zombie that ate people.
Oh, Ellie can't handle this. Ellie needs a violent monster cat that's a husk of her own cat instead of dealing with death, which comes for us all. No, get her a husk of her own dead cat.
There's weird selective coddling of
Yes.
Ellie. Yeah.
Oh, I'll make that girl grow up real fast. Here's a life lesson, sweetheart. Zombie cat.
So it does turn out to be a zombie cat. The cat looks okay, smells like shit.
Yeah.
Second
and-
best performance in the movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
Cat's really good in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A+ cat. This is when we get the bath where the cat throws the fucking dead rat. IMDb had the gall The IMDb Tribune,
Oh,
which is
yes.
America's most trusted news source, had the gall to be like, by the way, did you know that's a fake rat? Like, oh, fucking really?
Wow.
Do you love this trivia, Griffin? Do you ever read IMDb trivia? And
Oh,
just
nonstop.
marvel at it?
Have you noticed the influx of opinion in the trivia section?
Yes.
I'm getting a little upset about it.
Yes.
They need regulation there big time.
IMDb needs to, on every movie, just do like an op-ed section.
Well, what were you expecting? They just hired Brett Stevens. What else are they going to do with it?
No, I'm like a big IMDb trivia fan. The one that's my favorite is, I don't know if it's still up there, but it was for Batman Forever.
It's a movie.
The trivia fact was the name Dr. Chase Meridian is a subtle nod to the fact that she's chasing Batman.
What in the world?
Might as well say it was a nod to Chase Bank.
Right.
My favorite IMDb trivia was for the new Power Rangers movie, where our fans wrote in that in the sequel to it, Gallagher was going to play the Green Ranger.
Oh,
That just shows
Because
you
it
that
was a reference to our show. I loved it.
the inmates are running the asylum. That's
Yeah.
it. Nobody,
Yeah, so
nobody's
fucked
watching
up.
the store.
No.
Nobody, because somebody, they're like, oh, it was something about this movie, like, because they wanted to film it in Maine, which, as we know, is a good decision. Don't tell me what's a good decision.
Yeah,
Just tell
exactly.
me the fact, and
Yep.
I'll decide.
I 10 years ago, if not longer, submitted to IMDb for the trivia page of an actor friend of mine. She considers Griffin Newman to be the greatest of her peers. And then in quotes, she has been caught on the record saying, he really is the best actor of my, or for that matter, really any generation. And it has been up there for a decade.
That's amazing.
No attribution. I was just like, will they accept anything?
The question is, how many people found that helpful?
I think 2 or 3. My
You got-
parents were very proud.
Olympia Dukakis, as you got.
Olympia Dukakis,
You
it
got
says
right.
that on her.
Great Fred Gwynne thing. So they're like having an after burial beer, which I
Oh,
feel
sure.
is
Yeah, you're gonna
necessary.
have
Or
to
12. One of
Right,
12.
right. And the
Right.
guy, like this dude Lewis, he has to just get it out there. It's been on his mind. He's like, hey man, they ever bury a person up there? Fred Gwynne goes bowling with
Yeah,
these beer
yes.
bottles and goes fucking hilarious line. Christ on his throne, no.
Christ on his throne. Isn't that like that's like against everything Christ was about, right?
He was a chair maker.
Right.
simple
It's
carpenter.
just a shitty chair.
Yeah.
That's not a throne, that's a stool.
The other thing is, I feel like so much time on an actual set is spent trying to figure out how to make movements like that look unforced.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, we know the director wants him to knock all the beer over. How do you do that in a way where it feels like natural? But he literally he goes, you ever bury a kid? And he goes full arm swipe.
It's ridiculous.
He like pushes the beers away from him.
I think the move has to be the director shouldn't want him to knock the beer bottles over because nobody would do
Well,
that.
then he
Because
just
then he catches them like he's worried. Oh, what did I do?
oh, my beer. Oh,
Right.
my beer.
Yeah, all the empty bottles.
Yeah, he's got to get him back out to the
They
cemetery.
can't break. He's got to bury them later. They cannot break.
But you think about Christ on his throne and it startles you because that's a weird image.
Yes.
But then you're like, oh shit, he might be watching. I don't want to knock over all this shit.
But also, you
Pretty
know what?
wasteful.
You know who started this line of thinking? You, Fred
Yeah.
Gwynne, by taking me out of the fucking pet cemetery.
That's why
Absolutely.
it feels like the whole movie you're waiting for his explanation of his master plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why
Yeah.
he wanted this all to happen.
I knew there would be a new family that moved in here and I
Right.
would do
I've done it before. I'll do it again.
Yeah. Why do you think they moved out? And then before them.
The first time the father goes into his house, he's just got these marks, like the marks all over things, like all the families he's taken down over the years.
Yeah, like the side of a fighter jet where you're marking off all your fucking victims.
So, yeah,
This is where he takes that bath.
he takes the bath. The cat comes back. The cat's evil. It smells like shit. The girl comes back, and the girl is pseudo psychic. She keeps having nightmares about what's going on in the movie. but
Another
it never,
classic Stephen King thing where
Well,
it's like everybody's almost kind of psychic.
Isn't the
Right.
ghost boy also visiting her for no
in her nightmares,
understandable
though.
reason?
She says
Yeah.
it's only in her nightmares,
Yeah.
but then the mother and the father see the ghost.
right? We never
Right.
get a
Yeah.
scene of
Physical
her
life.
seeing it.
But when you're a
Right.
child and you see a ghost, which is an average thing to
Yeah.
have happen,
Sure.
you think it's a nightmare, but it's
she-
an actual
but
ghost.
She literally,
Right.
I mean, she's always saying it's like, I woke up
yeah.
and in
Yeah.
the dream I saw this happen and then
Right.
also this ghost was there and was like, "Hey, nice to meet you."
And she dictates the whole thing. She calls and she's like, I had a dream that the cat got hit by a
Right.
car, and then you and that fucking old creep buried it in the pet cemetery. And the dude's like,
Right.
that didn't happen.
Never happened. That's the problem, though. You can't even go like, "Oh, the parents are like, writing it off," or the girl is seeing a ghost and assuming it's a dream,
Right.
because she's like in her dreams, seeing what's going to play out in the next 6 hours. And the ghost is kind of just like crypt keepering, like hosting, like he's doing the framing device for the dreams.
Yes, I think he's just playing a tape of the movie now.
Right. Here's what happens in the next scene.
But again, yeah, it's not to any
Pretty
moral,
chilling,
No.
huh?
not to a moral effect, not to a warning effect. It's like it's gonna get really
There's
creepy
no
next time.
reason why she has these powers.
Nope. We
It's
just have
the
to see-
7th craziest thing in the film.
We just have to see kids freak out in this movie, and it's annoying.
And you also go, if the ghost can invade dreams, then why is he ever showing up at like an airport?
Why is he in any of this?
Any of this?
Like, unless he's trying to get himself buried in the pet cemetery. I don't understand.
Oh, that's what it was.
this
It's
Oh.
like,
What he's
random
doing.
jogger. But then he's saying like, don't do anything
Right. Yeah.
in relation
He's just
to
like
that
a good
cemetery.
Samaritan that died. And
Right.
it's like, but before I get into heaven, I have to tell this guy, like,
Yeah.
don't fuck up.
I have to
Oh,
deal
wait, he
with
fucked up.
Also, can I see my family? Do I have to hang out with my doctor who actually killed me's family this entire time?
Also, can I put a hat on or something? I feel like
Yeah,
I'm just
totally.
bleeding out here.
or
Ghost
pants,
blood.
just some pants.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
the,
but
the
these-
thighs are
These
exposed.
joggers, that's embarrassing. Eternity in that.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Well, Griffin, I think the master plan for Fred Gwynne is that he befriends this guy and he gets him to bury him in the pet cemetery. And what is more evil and unable to defeat than a zombie Fred Gwynne?
Right. I mean,
Oh,
you're
I mean-
essentially you're talking Monsters prequel.
Right.
Yes. That's how he starts.
Right.
And then in the sequel, him and Clancy Brown just go at it.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
wait,
Fuck
how
yeah,
about
dude.
instead of Louis Creed, this guy's actual paternal name was Frankenstein,
Oh, nice.
right? And then he builds Fred Gwynne again.
the more that I think about how much Herman Munster's like an iconic television
Yeah.
character, how does this movie not take the score for a little walk and it's like like just a brief, a nice little
How about a
little wink, you know?
Ramones
Yeah.
cover of the Monsters?
Oh, yeah.
It is kind of a weird choice for like a pretty po-faced horror movie 2 decades later
Yeah.
to be like, we're gonna cast the funniest monster there ever was.
The funniest, nicest monster.
Right.
Speaking of so speaking of the Ramones, this movie takes way too long to get to what this movie is. So we're having a picnic,
Mhm.
and
We have this fucking old man who I think he insisted. I think it was a thing we're having a picnic. Like, oh, looks like there might be a picnic over there.
wow,
Oh,
picnic! I'll bring a couple of forks.
How about we have it right here next to the Autobahn?
Exactly. We're 10 feet from the road. We're having this picnic. We're flying a kite, and it's cutting back and forth between like great family times on the ranch
Yeah.
and this trucker listening to the Ramones going 117 miles an hour down the road. And it's like, all right, here's where it's going. They had like a close call with the kid before, so we know
Yeah.
this kid's attracted to gravel.
Sure.
He's coming after
with
that road
This
hard.
kid's got a death wish. This kid was going to die anyway. Who cares?
Right after that first one, they should have gotten one of those electrical collars they put on dogs.
Oh,
yeah,
And just
dude.
put it on the baby.
He's a runner.
Or like, we ever see these like child leashes?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't agree with it, but maybe some need it.
Or maybe a series of sticks that you could put on the perimeter of a property.
Or
Connected
maybe
by-
a cage.
But the cat's already died at this point.
Yes.
There is so much yard to spare.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he sends his little 3-year-old son off with the kite, watches him continue walking in that trajectory, turns back around.
Oh, full 180.
This is a diaper baby.
Yep.
You got to pay attention to this shit.
You already know the danger of the blood boys. You know, you got a Morton Joe constantly doing like 300 miles per hour.
I'm gonna give him a kite, a wind-propelled device that is going to steer him
Right.
exactly towards that road.
Right. He acts like he doesn't know that death exists, that no one's told him about it. And they only clock it when the kid's
Yeah.
like 2 steps away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, this pathetic father, he's running after, he stumbles like right before it. Oh man.
He trips and the kid gets creamed. And I mean, there's some great.
This guy hits the brakes so that like the kid really gets creamed. It's
Right.
just like being crushed.
Spoiler alert for the third act. If you want to mute this for a second, he comes back. this kid should be Kid Chili. Like,
I
there's
know.
no
Yeah, I
way
agree
this
with
There's
that.
like a
comes back.
tiny scar. I was like, this is the greatest mortician that's ever lived.
It's just it's a pile of goo.
Right.
How do you turn a Jackson Pollock painting into that?
His bloody shoe
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
rolled on its own with
That's
no
unnecessary.
foot in it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's unnecessary. I know that this kid is dead. I don't need to see that fucking
Yeah.
shoe.
But there's nothing. There should be nothing left. You should be
Right.
vaporized
Yeah.
by this drug.
Pink mist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, where'd he go?
And then you just bury this blood, and it becomes a pink mist ghost.
Oh,
and
I
that's
like that.
better.
Yeah.
Here comes that pink fog that turns everybody inside out.
Because then even at the funeral, it's like, I guess it's not open casket, but accidentally the casket gets like jostled.
Oh,
This
open.
is
sure.
one of the most hilarious scenes in cinema.
This is like
history.
top 4 cinematic funerals. I
This
feel.
is
I love it.
insane.
Oh my
Well,
god.
because they have this blood feud already. The dad, so they bury the kid. There's some knowing, obviously.
Which that's another thing that's never been pulled off successfully.
No one could do it. No one could do it.
Not this guy, not Darth Vader, nobody. Just don't stop with the
But, like,
nose.
the casket's sitting in wake. The father-in-law comes out and he starts screaming like, "I knew this would happen when she married you."
Like, you knew the kid was going to get hit by a truck?
The
And
kid
they-
wasn't even born yet. What are you talking
Yes,
about?
and they
My
get
second
into
kid, by the way, one successful.
Based on what?
they get into a physical altercation where
Oh
the
my-
coffin falls on the floor.
Dude, and all I could think about was one of the greatest lines from Clerks when he says, her fucking body fell out.
It just
It nearly falls out.
It kind of
also- yeah.
opens a little bit.
You see the little,
you see the
hands,
arms,
yeah.
sort of. But the dad saying like, "I knew this was gonna happen,"
Yeah.
and then let you have 2 children is like when people like after someone's revealed to be a murderer went like, "I always had a bad feeling."
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, what brownie points do you want? You didn't protect anything from happening.
I called it.
I called
I
it.
called it.
At least I had the decency to chain my
Yeah.
kid to a bed.
It's the quiet ones you gotta watch.
Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. That's why I always let my kids sleep there. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, no.
Right,
You don't get
45 years ago, I told everyone never go out to a bar with Harvey Weinstein. It's like, well, but then, I mean, what?
Well, that's helpful.
I
Thank you.
said it into my pillow when I went to bed. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
But why this funeral is great. So hilarious casket drop,
yeah.
fist fight. Then this father-in-law, after he knocks this dude out, gets some Robert De Niro kicks in on him
Yeah,
while he's
that's
on
nice.
the ground. You're kicking the shit out of your son-in-law in a church. Awesome.
It's also like the most destabilizing. Like up until now, it has been a Hallmark movie,
Right.
and all of a sudden, it's a scene from Husbands.
Yeah.
like the camera's right in your face. It's like levitating. You're like, what the fuck?
But
And
then
then
that
my-
guy holding him back.
Oh,
Or
that's
you're
my,
saying the line.
my
Right, yes.
favorite guy.
Yeah.
He is the voice of reason at this funeral. He grabs the dad by the shirt collar and he's like, this is your son's funeral. Knock it off.
And
the
he's
guy's
like, I didn't
oh,
start the fucking fight.
go to that guy, that
Also,
bald guy.
Why did you name your son Gage Creed?
Yeah.
What is that about? Is he fighting Rocky?
He wanted him to grow up to be an ultimate fighter.
Yeah.
Or a
That's-
bounty hunter is definitely great.
Yeah.
Great.
That's a
That
bounty
kid is
hunter.
wearing.
Hell yeah.
That
Wait.
kid gets a duster on his 18th birthday for sure.
question.
Wait, so he
For
could
sure.
be like professional extreme fighter. What did you just say?
Bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter. Definitely a professional dog trainer.
Sure.
Like, oh, I'm Gage Creed. I'm going to train you dog. That can have. That's on the
Sure.
profession.
That's
if you're
also
named
a
Gage
that's
Creed.
also a bounty hunter accent. I could see this guy in Mandalorian armor, right?
Oh, yeah.
Gage Creed.
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
I'd buy that comic book.
Gage Creed. He probably takes over for Steve Irwin after his passing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he could do that.
Yeah.
Wasn't Gage Creed in Shadows of the Empire?
So they bury this kid, and
Yeah.
they're like, you know what? We're gonna fuck off to Chicago. The dad, at least the father-in-law, has the good grace. But like, look, I was hopped up on coke.
Yeah, he's sobered
I
up.
shouldn't have
Yeah.
fucking done rails before your son's
Right.
funeral. I
Sorry
apologize.
about those Robert De Niro kicks. Are we friends?
I mean, for what? And also, I would say if anyone came up to me on my fucking son's funeral, like, yeah, it's like Mardi Gras, bitch. I could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm burying a 3-year-old boy today. I'm gonna go fuck somebody. I'm gonna go drink for 3
You
days.
can't touch me.
You can't touch me for at least a month.
I essentially have diplomatic immunity.
It's the end of Lethal Weapon 2.
yeah.
Kid diplomatic immunity.
But then the crazy thing is that the takeaway from the funeral is I think we should go spend a little time with my father.
Yeah.
The guy who instigated the fight.
She sides with the dad.
You need some space. You're clearly going through some shit. You allowed
Yeah.
my father to punch you.
Look, you're right. I shouldn't have brought a baseball bat to the funeral. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. This is my fault. My fault.
But the thing is, like, they're like, oh, we have to go back to Chicago. And the little girl's like, Daddy, are you going to come? He's like, I got some things to wrap up here, which is like, I don't know, like I work at a fucking college hospital. Maybe someone's got herpes. Like what on earth is so pressing that you can't leave? Like
People are getting tested. You just said it.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
He doesn't know how to get his scalpel through security.
It's also, this is like the last job before he bottoms out.
No,
Oh,
that's-
I see. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and
it's
then, yes, and then the other thing is like you got like he say to Denise Crosby like it's a good opportunity, maybe you'll finally be able to come to terms with your sister's death.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
this story is
Oh.
your emotional journey.
Your problem now.
Right. And then to the
Yeah.
daughter, it's like, I think it's better if you spend a little time away from your father. He's grieving.
Right.
So let's go back to your grandfather who brought a sack full of oranges to a funeral so he could beat the shit out of your father without leaving bruises.
Oh, by the way, where we're gonna go? It's a haunted castle. Don't worry. It's just a haunted castle. I wouldn't worry about it.
Insane.
So they go, and obviously, first thing this guy's gonna go to is the pet cemetery. And like
first
now-
stop.
And now, we've got fucking Fred Gwynne looking at his shoes, being like, you shouldn't go to the pet cemetery. Like two fucking late tall guys.
He's like, I know what you're thinking. It was the first thought when you saw him get turned into that pink mist was
Right.
bury him in the pet cemetery.
Because now he's told him the story about
This is where he tells him,
right,
he's
the
like, I
soldier.
lied to you
Yes,
before. Because
right.
he's like, Christ on his throne. No one ever tried that. And he's like,
Right.
I lied before.
We
there was this
totally
one.
tried it.
This is
Yeah.
amazing.
We tried
Yeah.
it so
And
hard.
this military vet's wandering the town, biting random people to the point where Fred Gwynne and the gang have to burn his house down with him in it alive. And,
This
and
makes
his
no
father,
sense.
too.
This
His
makes
father
no
is
sense.
in there and is like,
Yeah.
better get out before I burn you all alive.
This dude comes back like fucking Bud the Chud, and
Yeah.
he's running around, and the dad is trying to do the whole like. And you've seen this in
He's
like
a good boy. You don't understand.
Yeah, I mean you've seen this in like newer zombie things now, where it's like, no, that's my kid, whatever. I'm sure Walking Dead has done it 1,000 times.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so the guy is like, no. Like, there's a dude who plays like young Fred Gwynne from behind.
Yeah.
Which is great. He's like, you better get out of there. They're gonna burn it. And it's like, why? Just fucking cut off the head or destroy the brain. It's a zombie, dude.
Well,
Don't
I
burn
don't-
this house down.
Isn't it like identical to Bob Clark's death dream? Almost exact, like the vet coming home and becoming a zombie and then not being able to kill it.
It's pretty similar.
Yeah.
The other thing is, correct me if I'm misremembering here. He serves in war.
Right.
He gets
Thank you
sent
for your service,
home.
by the way. Thank you for your
yes. He gets sent home. Which here's the dramatic irony. He made it all the way back hometown. He gets hit by a car, does he not?
They say something about he died like on his way.
Right, on his way
Back
back.
to
I'm
the
sure he
house.
died
To
in
imagine,
travel.
it has to be some vehicular accident.
Yes.
Right.
Which again, the moral of this story is change your fucking traffic laws.
Yep. I mean, this is like the 1940s. It's been happening since.
He probably
fuck is
got,
going
he
on
probably
here?
got hit by a wagon. or
Yeah.
something.
Let me crank
Going
this car.
240.
A lot of horsepower.
I feel like, they burn this house down. I would go, if I'm the dad, I go to the fucking town council the next day. I'm like, my son was a zombie. Did you need to burn my, like, that's all I had. I lost the
Does
kid.
he make it out of the house?
No, the zombie takes him to hell with him.
Oh,
That's what's
does he?
good.
Oh,
Because
okay,
the
so
dad-
that's good.
It's fucking hilarious. The dad tries to get out, and the dude gives him like a big zombie bear hug, and then
Oh.
you see this guy's legs catch on
Yeah.
fire.
yeah.
But
Then
you
he's
know,
just
at
eaten
that
by
point,
flames.
you should just die. Like,
Oh,
who
for sure.
cares?
It
Your
is-
house, your house is going to be gone. Your son's gone. Just die. Just shut up and leave everyone alone.
It is also so muddy, like what the reviving process does to them.
yes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when, I'm not to jump ahead, but Miko Hughes, it's like half the time he's like Chucky,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
it feels like he's just having fun.
Right,
This
yeah.
is just
Yeah.
for sport. And half the time, it feels like, is this like do they need this for sustenance?
right. Yeah. What with the throat eating?
I mean, let me say, Miko Hughes, when he comes back to life, he's kind of like little Joker.
He's like
It's
the
true.
Joker of
He's
like revived
very-
dead kids.
I've
He's
never
going
seen-
he.
A kid this twisted, I've
Never
never seen.
before.
Right?
You're going to hear a
It's like you
door slam.
Finds,
Doing it for the lulz.
it's like he finds murder funny.
It's just crazy that they buried him in the purple suit. That is so weird.
So weird.
Where did you find purple velvet in that kid's size?
They put a giant fish in there with him. A lipstick fish.
and a whoopee
Yeah.
cushion.
A
And
big mallet.
a little girl from Staten Island next to it. They both went down there. No, so The dad is undeterred by this fucking story of pure horror.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to visit that upon my little baby kid.
He probably wasn't even listening, honestly.
It's not even that. It's like so much worse than that. Like Fred Gwynn's like, well, it's gonna come back, and you might have to get. He's like, yeah, I'll kill my kid again. Yeah, I'm ready to do it. Let's go. Let's go fucking kill my kid.
He has some line where he's like, and if he comes back wrong, I'm just going to put him to sleep again. And I was like, remember when you said you weren't a veterinarian?
Yeah, I'm a doctor. I'm so good at knowing when things are dead or alive. The other thing is, I think Fred Gwynne says I didn't tell you the truth. The thing I didn't think you're ready to hear. Sometimes dead is better.
Right. Yeah,
and you do have that moment where you're like, this is Fred Gwynne. He's giving a great performance. It's clearly the iconic line.
Right.
And then they come back from the flashback and he says it like 4 more times.
Yeah.
And you just get the sense on set they had no restraint. They were like, I don't know, should we just like quadruple down on that? That's clearly the trailer moment.
We really want everybody to know.
Sometimes dead is better.
So you see,
sometimes dead is better.
You hear it once in the trailer and you're like, well, I better hear it like 4 times in the
Right.
movie. Like
Right.
the movie better be that, but more.
You need at least 4 times to make a T-shirt out of it after it comes out.
He just says it in a row. It's like he's stuck. Like the record is like skipping.
Well, yeah, he's got Alzheimer's. It's kind of sad.
He's probably
It is
loaded.
better.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's not my favorite line of the movie. My favorite line of the movie is while this is all going on, we're in the creepy haunted castle in Chicago.
Right. Yeah.
We're
The
sitting
Devil in
around.
the White City happened actually.
We're sitting around, and
Was that H.H. Holmes?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like the Joker of Chicago doctors.
Yes, he was also a doctor.
The windiest Joker.
They're like, we gotta call back, see how my father's doing, etc.
Yeah.
They call, they don't get anything, and Denise Crosby is worried, and the mother is like, "Oh, honey, don't worry about it. He's just probably it's a man. He's alone for the weekend. He's out having a hamburger or a chicken dinner." And I don't know about
what
you guys.
men do. They walk down the road. They eat a full chicken.
My wife goes out of town. I draw the blinds. I open the computer and I have a full chicken dinner.
Dude, I order the fucking Jake Blues 4 fried chickens and a Coke immediately. The second the door closes when she's gone.
Men are pigs, aren't they? They just the chicken dinner.
He's grieving. He's gonna walk along the road for 10 to 15 miles and eat 1 full chicken. Just kill a chicken,
Honey,
in a sitting.
honey. Just listen. Your father, he ate chicken dinners all the time when I was away, and he didn't tell me about it. Be happy that he tells you about it.
We can't change men.
That's twisted.
I'm so sorry I had a chicken dinner. I love you.
While you were away, I went to the Italian restaurant. I had the chicken ricotta.
No, it wasn't chicken.
It's just important that you told me.
It was a chicken dinner. I'm sorry. It was a hamburger sandwich. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she definitely should have called it a hamburger sandwich.
She does call it. It's either or. It's either a hamburger sandwich or a chicken.
But does she say hamburger sandwich?
that's a good
I think
question.
she just says hamburger.
You're probably right.
But they make these parents like they were born in the 1860s, so she definitely should have said hamburger sandwich.
Now, be honest with me. Was this the only chicken, or were there other chicken dinners?
What? You didn't have a roast, did you? You tell me if you had a roast.
Well, I'm gonna go to the doctor tomorrow because someone brought a chicken dinner into our house. Someone did it.
Well, I am a doctor. So.
No, not that doctor.
Wait, you knocked up the chicken dinner.
Chicken doctor.
So he hangs out in this graveyard. He brings shovels during the daytime, and I feel like there should be a gravekeeper who's like, "Yo, dude, no, that's my job." But he's got it. He waits for nightfall.
Wait a minute. That's my. I'll take it from here.
No.
The pet cemetery?
No,
you want to dig him back up?
Oh,
huh?
yeah, right. He goes to the real graveyard to
Right.
dig up Gage
The cops
Creed.
come by, the lights flash, and he just sort of stays still and they don't catch him. You have to imagine if you're police in this town, you gotta know the number one thing to look out for.
Yep.
Grave digging.
Because you don't
Yeah.
want another Timothy, whatever his name
And
is.
especially after the death of a kid. You're patrolling that grave like at least twice a
To do the rounds but not look hard enough to find him when he doesn't even bother to hide
Yep.
Right.
is insane.
It's almost like not putting a stop sign on the fucking most dangerous road in the world.
It's kind of also on Fred Gwynne because Fred Gwynne knows exactly what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
instead of sitting with his warm 6-pack in front of the cemetery,
Right.
he falls asleep on his porch.
All right, so there's a couple things about Fred Gwynne here. Fred Gwynne is like, oh no, I'm gonna stop him. I'm gonna sit on my porch and I'm gonna give him a piece of my mind.
A stern talking to.
Maybe not everything needs to be a party. Maybe we can maybe we can get a fucking cup of black coffee so we stay awake for this to happen instead of like, well, I got to get my buzz on. Sometimes buzzed is better, which by that I mean all the time.
He ain't wrong, man.
He is not wrong. But he digs this kid up. And like also the question is like death certificates. What are you going to do in this? Like we publicly buried this kid.
But
like,
it's 1989. You could really get around anything back then.
oh, it's my kid Rage. Oh, no, Gage is dead. Rage is alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Rage was too upset to attend the funeral.
It's sort of how he was able to escape his past as a bad doctor in Chicago. You just go to Maine. It's just start a new life. It's fun.
So he buries the kid.
Yeah.
Fred Gwynne falls asleep. The kid comes back to life. Denise Crosby, after the chicken dinner fiasco, is like, oh, you know what, Mom? I'm going to leave. I'm going to fly back. It's kind of a bit of a home alone.
I was just going to say, she's like fucking Catherine O'Hara. Where does she sit in a van with John Candy trying to get back to this house?
But then also you have this ghost appearing to her like it's Griffin Dunn in American Werewolf in London, where he's like sort of doing like quippy commentary.
And he's helping out though. And that's this weird inconsistency with this ghost. It's like, are you in this girl's dream only?
Right.
But he holds the gate door open
This
at
is
the
amazing.
airport.
Yeah, but they still missed the flight. So he's just like, we missed our connection in Boston. I don't know. I'm just should we rent a car? Can you drive to Maine right now?
Ghost speaks to the daughter only in the form of dreams.
Yeah.
Speaks to the father direct conversation.
Yeah.
Denise Crosby's interaction with the ghost seems like the ghost says something and then she suddenly has the idea in her head.
Yes, and he pulls this over also on that fucking rental agency woman because she's like, we don't have any cars. And he's like, what about that one that's got scratches on it?
It's like he's the Ben Kenobi of ghosts.
Yeah, he's like forced mind tricking.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's like hitting the road to get back. The car has a flat tire and the ghost appears again and he's like, oh, they're trying to prevent you from making it. I was like, who the fuck are they? What are you talking about?
And also, don't you know the gig is up by now? Like the best thing for Denise Crosby is to stay away from the house. Like you're not the kid is in the ground. You can't prevent this anymore.
But does she know about, does she understand what happened with church?
No, she doesn't.
Right,
she's not hip to the cat.
Let's be fair. It's not like she would go like, fuck, I think if I go home, there's a risk that my zombified son.
Well, no, but if you're a ghost that has all the cards,
the ghost should be warning her more.
He's
like 100%.
He's like, come on. It's like, no, the gig is up. Like that's over. Like stay with the kid.
He's a very unhelpful ghost.
And why is he so invested? Is he like he should be like, oh, they didn't do that for me. Didn't put me in the fucking pet cemetery. I just got buried.
Yeah.
How rude.
I think it's like that's his heaven assignment. Like it's a really tough one. It's like you have to make sure this shit doesn't go down.
Clarence, George Bailey's gonna bury his kid in the pet cemetery. You better go stop him.
But it's also
I want my son to live again.
It's confirmed none of this is going to work because when they finally get back to Maine from hitchhiking in a truck that may or may not have killed, I think it killed the dude who is on this journey with her.
Right. She's riding shotgun with the Polka Kings in the back.
But he's the ghost guy stays in the truck and drives on with the truck driver.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I think because his assignment failed with this family, now he's going to haunt the trucker who killed him.
It's just this arbitrary. He's like, I can't go any further. They're at the fucking front door.
Yeah.
He's like, that's it for me. I'm gonna keep hitchhiking with this guy.
My favorite part is when she tries to get on the next flight, and there's that old couple, and she's trying to barter with jewelry, and he goes, "Oh no, she's got a big drawer full of them, a dangly one." That is my favorite line in any movie. Top 5.
The other crazy thing is though the fact that the ghost refers to the father by name on his deathbed before he becomes what is clearly a ghost implies that this was fated in some sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
That like the death of the jogger is in some way tied to this larger thing, which is when I'm waiting for the reveal that Fred Gwynne has been pulling the strings.
Yeah.
He's been pulling the fucking bottles out of the.
That's all he's been pulling.
Like a flashback of Fred Gwynne just like shoulder checking this dude into traffic.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, right. He's just watching joggers. He like puts his leg out, and trips him into the road.
You want to reveal that he Mr. Glass style
Yes,
has one move.
Exactly.
Which is just pushing people into traffic.
They call me Mr. Gwynne.
So the kid comes back. The kid comes for Fred Gwynne first, as he should.
Sure.
Yeah.
And now we've got literally, I knew it was coming. I've seen this movie this is probably my third or fourth time seeing it.
Yeah.
It is the most viscerally I react to any gore in any movie ever. This is your first time watching
Yeah,
it.
the two Gwynne cuts are rough.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
And they're at this weird level of like they're just realistic enough
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to really upset you.
Yeah.
Like physically upset you.
Yes.
Because it doesn't go into crazy Sam Raimi like spurts of blood.
Mhm.
It's just like, what are two really bad places to get cut?
Yeah.
Like the corner of the mouth thing is fucked.
Yeah.
It's a
I don't know how
little-
he got those scars.
Yeah.
I mean, just putting
That's
it out
exactly
there.
the Joker. You're
Putting
right.
it out there, Steve.
It's the Achilles tendon, though, that
Yes.
makes
Right.
me just
Oof.
all of my hair goes up.
But
Yeah.
and
then
like
the-
to bring
yes.
it back to Child's Play, it's
Yeah.
like
I was
this
gonna-
little doll hand.
Right, that's the thing.
It's chilling to see a little doll
All this
hand holding a
porcelain
scalpel.
doll
Right,
hand that
that
comes
exactly.
out. Yeah.
And I was like going like they're having the kid do a lot of this. Why didn't they want him to do this shot? There's certain insert shots
Yeah.
from certain angles where it's clearly a doll's hand, which does when you have the soundtrack is the kid going and he's just sort of like jogging around.
Yeah.
It does feel like, is this just for kicks?
Yeah.
He's having a great time.
Right? Is he just like a haunted Pinocchio?
Well, he says that he's playing with him,
Right.
and then when the mother comes, he says he's played with mommy as well.
Right, right.
So I mean, he really is like the Joker of Pet Cemetery.
You do kind of want
True.
some sort of rule of like, this is what burying the people here
Yeah.
does. It
Yeah.
exemplifies whatever's natural in their behavior. If there was some idea that's like, it heightens it to an evil degree.
Or
Yeah.
even a demon, you leave and a demon takes your body or
Right.
something.
Whatever it is. But I just can't figure out the rules of like, what's the end game here? Because he also starts pulling like some Saw shit.
Yes, yeah. he's like laughing around. He's like doing some jump
It's
scare
like
stuff.
booby trapping.
By the way, are we saying that like every Native American who was buried came back as a zombie, or are we saying only white people buried there
Yeah.
become
No,
zombies?
Fred Gwynne has
There's a
some
line.
line where he's like, "That's why the Indians stopped using it once they realized it was crooked."
That's one of those bad ones. You get every
Right.
so often you get a
Right.
bad graveyard.
Yeah.
Again, but if that's the case, somebody put up a sign.
Someone put up a sign. Certainly don't refer anyone.
No, I mean, there's just so
to-
much tragedy that could be avoided with just a couple of quick signs.
I'll say I really like sour things. I love
Mhm.
like sour candy and like
sure.
sour beer and anything. And it's one of those words I always find appetizing, like crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything's described as crispy. So the amount of times that this like last chunk of the movie between the ghost and Fred Gwynne that someone says, the ground is sour. I know it's supposed to be menacing, but every time I go like, God, I want to eat that ground.
The dirt sounds
The
great.
dirt sounds so fucking good.
Ooh, the dirt has blue flavor now. Ooh.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it's like
So-
wild raspberry.
It's got
Ground.
gummy worms
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah. Screaming green apple.
Yeah, neon glowing
Yeah.
ground.
It's also got a lower ABV, but it's actually pretty
Right.
nice. Yeah.
The ground is sponsored
could-
by Warheads.
Oh, nice. I miss those.
Yeah,
It's been
so
a while.
My favorite dichotomy of the kid, it's obviously a little kid actor, a 3-year-old actor.
Yeah.
And you have to, you do the Shining thing where you tell him other things. You know for a fact when the kid, Miko Hughes does it, where Fred Gwynne has been, cutting the Achilles tendon, cutting the mouth. And it's like, do you want to give him a raspberry on his
Yes.
Yeah.
neck?
Yep,
You want to
definitely.
give him
Yeah.
and he's like, and they make the noise. And it's just,
Yeah.
It's awesome because like they when
it's,
they
it's
cut,
that's the part that's adorable. Everything
Yeah.
else is terrifying. That part's adorable.
but when they have to cut back to like what is supposed to be the kid then like moving off of him and there's a piece of his throat like attached to the kid's mouth, it's clearly a My Buddy and Me
Yeah.
with like gore on its mouth, and some effects guy just
My
yanks it off of
Buddy.
Fred Gwynne.
My buddy.
Yeah, dude.
Classic commercial.
Whatever he kills, I kill my buddy.
Classic haunted toy, man.
Oh, definitely cursed.
so
cursed
this
object.
dude's dead, and then so
Denise
she,
Crosby comes
she
in.
gets back, and
we
there-
turn into like a house of horrors immediately.
I love that it's
Yeah.
at Fred Gwynn's house, by
Yes,
the way.
yeah. Yeah, don't you know what? At the very least, that guy's house should be burned to the ground. For sure.
Yes,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Did I go to sleep? Do they not show the Denise Crosby getting murdered?
No.
They
Uh,
don't
no,
show it.
no.
They
They
don't
don't
show,
show
which
it.
is fucked up.
Right.
So she just falls out of the rafters, hung. Like,
Right, this dude gets
how-
to the house and
But
he's
there's also-
how did a
investigating.
baby hang a grown woman?
And they also, I mean, first she sees her sister. She sees Zelda.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And so it's like, can the kid transform? Like, that's when
Yeah.
you go, like, is
Yep.
there some demonic spirit that's
And
like
then just do that. Just tell me
otherworldly,
that.
or are these just zombies?
Also,
Yeah.
the kid is dressed at this part when he kills his mother. Finally, like Tom Petty in the "Don't Come Around Here No More" video. Like I was just like,
note. Yes.
what the fuck is with this? Where did he get this hat?
I
This
don't
is a
get
baby hat. It's It's an amazing baby.
Is that what they buried him in?
I don't know.
We buried him in his best top hat.
Looks like Little Lord Fauntleroy.
It's so
He's missing a big lolly and bloomers.
It's Danny DeVito and Big Fish.
And yeah, but he does kind of. We do see him like stab his mom once or twice,
Right.
And then we cut to whatever.
Yeah, we miss him tying the noose, hanging it over like Kevin
so
McAllister.
Dragging her up to the attic, rigging it so that she'll fall at the right
and
moment.
hiding Fred Gwynne's body under that bed and putting the cover down over it. which
I
he also
couldn't
does.
move Fred Gwynne. I could
No.
not.
Dare I say it? This is when he really starts to feel Joker-esque. Because it feels like
Yeah.
it's less about the bloodlust and it's more about that he likes watching people.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
say that,
Scream.
but if he can do that Zelda stuff where he's making, that's more of a Scarecrow move.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
That's
true.
true.
Oh, you
Might
think
be a
he's got like
classic team-up.
those toxins?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, it's little kid fear gas,
Yeah.
dude.
So the dad, by the way, of course, this dad sleeps like a rock through anything. He
Yeah.
wakes up and he's like, "Oh, I overslept
Oh.
after I buried my kid in the pet cemetery."
Right.
But he
And then
does-
what's the first thing he does when he wakes up? He checks his scalpel.
Yep.
That's what I would do.
Well, at least now he's got the foresight enough to load his syringe with whatever kills
Kill
things.
juice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kill
kill
juice.
juice,
He
yeah.
Right.
puts in a bunch of kill juice.
Yeah.
He finds the cat on his way over to Fred Gwynne's, kills the cat, injects it.
With a steak, which I mean,
Oh, yeah, he
I know
feeds
that
it a
cats
steak
like
to-
eat meat and whatnot, but like
Yeah.
in
It's
any
a
kind of
zombie
movie
cat.
or literature or whatnot, the steak that's a dog distraction.
It is
Yeah.
a dog
I don't know.
distraction.
We're
but
gonna
this-
fish out of the fridge.
But a demonic cat is just a dog.
oh sure.
Second favorite line of the movie behind the chicken, which is, "Come on, church, come on and eat it. It's Thanksgiving Day for dead cats." I'm like, what are we doing?
Dude, that
First of
line
all-
is trauma-esque.
Great new holiday idea.
And he kills the cat, and then like he goes into the house. I kind of like this third act little, where this movie I think is creepy at this point. I'm not.
Yeah,
It's
no.
super creepy because I mean, especially because sometimes it's a little kid running around, sometimes it's clearly a puppet. With I got a thing with puppets; they
Yeah.
freak me right the fuck out.
Very
so that,
creepy.
that's helping.
And then the other thing is when it is Miko Hughes, when it is Miko Hughes doing it, it feels like the only direction they gave him was have fun.
Sure,
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
makes it creepier. That
Yes.
They're not directing him like a
Joker-esque.
creepy kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just doing it for the lulz.
Yeah, it's-
This is my point.
It's disturbing.
No, but between the puppet and
Yeah.
a kid gleefully like celebrating, clearly off of like misdirection
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the crew. You know,
Well, I mean, it's been proven in movies over and over again that kids can be creepy if everything else around it is set and shot like a creepy thing,
right.
and then they're having fun because this movie does it. They do it. I've brought this up on the show before. There's that shot in Insidious where Patrick Wilson like looks to the corner of the room, and there's a little kid with like his back to him, and he's dancing in front of a gramophone.
Yeah.
And it's like, da, 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 and he's in this like sailor outfit. And then it's just this creepy fucking like monster child.
I wonder if this was a formative movie for James Wan. Like, not his favorite movie, but if this was one he saw at
Yeah.
a specific age, because even just the puppet shit. Like,
Yep.
I know
Yeah.
that's not in universe,
Right.
but it feels like he's like, man, puppet, like little puppets doing things.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
If this little kid had like a little red tricycle, I'd be very
Right,
suspicious.
yeah. And he is rigging up these traps to
Yeah,
try to
That's
teach them the meaning of
actually-
life.
Want to play a game?
Yeah, yeah.
I just have this image of Miko Hughes like hitting a beam, like, nah, not right there. No, that's not a load-bearing one. Okay,
Find a
all right.
load-bearing beam to
Shit.
hang
While
Okay.
his father just sleeps.
Well, if you're having zombie stros,
Yeah.
I mean, that will knock you right the
Well,
fuck
he had
out.
to hitch a ride with one of those trucks to the 24-hour hardware store. He had to buy all this stuff.
I do love that Fred Gwynne just has all that rope hanging around.
Yeah, he's got
That's
rope.
choice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he knows where he's going.
But he sort of has that complicated knot, like he's like tied a harness around their shoulders. You know, it's not just like right with Fred Gwynne. You
Yes.
see like
Oh,
these
right.
loops
Yes. Oh, that's how he
going
moved.
underneath
yeah.
his arms. Yeah,
Oh, man, so it's like he died and he came back a zombie Boy Scout, which is pretty
Or
impressive.
zombie Slipknot from Suicide Squad.
Oh,
the
that's
only
right.
guy more twisted than the Joker.
That was a guy that used like ropes and rope guns.
Yeah.
Bondage
His name's
man.
Slipknot. He can escape from anything, and then they immediately kill him.
I've always imagined there's just the one guy in the audience like, oh, Slipknot, favorite character, Jim Slipknot. Oh man, like you and you're reading like, Adam Beach. That guy was on SVU. Awesome.
Yeah, totally.
It's also one of those things where like you could see how Warner Brothers didn't get what worked with Marvel, and we're like, they like it when there are like a lot of characters, right?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna like all the characters. Tons of Slipknot merchandise. And I'm not even talking about like action figures, but it's like, oh, you can get your like Slipknot notebooks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They sell
man.
full-size Slipknot cardboard cutouts.
Somehow Captain Boomerang makes it to the end of that movie, which
Yeah.
whatever, dude.
Yeah, they thought spin-off.
Yeah.
There was like a Variety article that was like, Warner's is feeling pretty confident about Captain Boomerang.
Everybody loves
Was it-
Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy, he's had so many chances.
He's
I
had a
mean,
lot.
He's had a lot of chances. I mean, he's tall. Great. Congratulations.
He's tall, as my podcast co-host David Sims says. He's got a nice big potato head.
Yep. Sims is not wrong there.
He's got a big potato head.
But speaking of enormous heads, Pet Sematary, Jason Clarke, that's
Yes.
a ham on his head.
Absolutely.
That thing has dimensions and dimensions.
But also-
he's a GoldenEye character.
Fred Gwynne, one of the tallest heads.
Yeah,
Replaced in the
Yeah.
sequel, I know it's not the same character, with Clancy Brown, who's another big head
Oh,
man.
man.
Yep.
Absolutely. And
Let's
this new
go
one, you got
huge
Lambert.
head.
Absolutely.
Fred-
He's got like a fucking turkey on top.
Yeah.
Fred Gwynne played one of the Stoneheads in Rapa Nui.
Sick trivia.
So there is an end to this movie eventually,
Oh,
right?
is there?
We're pretty much
so
right
he's
there.
got the kill juice. He goes into the house.
Kill
He
juice.
finally gets a hold of this child after being cut a
And
little
the kid,
bit.
right,
Yeah.
slices him
He's
up.
slicing and
bunch.
dicing.
But the kid,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not sure. Does the kid have supernatural powers?
Right.
Or does he, like, because I would fucking punt this thing into the next county.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
And also, the kid doesn't seem to want to kill his father because
Yeah.
he's just sort of dicing up, having fun with everyone else. He goes straight
And
for
that's
like the pain points.
because I hadn't seen this in a while, and I was like, is it a thing where he's like, well, you're the one who buried me and brought me back, so you get a pass.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut you a little bit, but it's just fun. And he really goes for it. But you're right, Steve, because if he fucking kicked him, you know what it would be? It would be a fucking puppet getting kicked
Yeah.
out of window.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
so good.
But instead, he just injects him in the neck with this kill juice.
This kid's got like a little final line too.
Yeah.
No fair. No fair.
Does he say, "Oh, you're no fun"?
no
Yeah.
fun.
No fun.
Right.
Oh man, awesome! And then there's like legit footage of this kid falling over and hitting his head on a door, which legitimate laugh.
And then all those penguins take him out.
Penguin Viking funeral.
But even it's weird that like, you know, the church, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Mhm.
cat.
yeah.
The
Right.
tomcat like to scurry about, sometimes catch a rat or whatever. Comes back a little more feral.
Right.
Drops the rats in some unpleasant places.
Right. But not out
It's
of character.
Not
for a
trying
cat.
to rip your neck out.
This kid comes back, goes straight for the scalpel.
Yeah.
Like goes into his father's briefcase, opens it up, finds the utensils he knows he needs.
Mm-hmm. Very strange.
And it's not like they've characterized him as like this kid can't stop
Yes.
playing games when he's alive. They could have made it a thing of
they
like,
should have done that. I'm playing games with you.
or
oh,
time.
my scalpel is not for you, little
Right.
gauge.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Telegraph
Yep.
that shit. It's,
Right.
It's called writing.
People complain about when things are too telegraphed, but there's a reason why.
Yes.
It's because it makes payoff satisfying.
It's why it's like a basic tenet of storytelling.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. Oh man. So yeah, this kid's dead, which is great.
And then he decides.
rules.
Totally real. And again, this speaks a lot about how I think I'm just like the littlest bit of a sociopath, because like that kid died nothing, neither time. That kid or the cat, oh my God.
Oh,
I was
that's-
looking at
that's
my dog in the
It
other
hit
room,
you
like
hard.
getting kind
Yeah.
of fucking misty. Like he fucking dies next to that steak. I was like, oh no.
Well, he says, I love that he's yelling at the cat. He's like, now you're dead. Stay dead.
Oh,
and the
right.
cat's like, it's your fault, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's up-
want this in the first place.
kind of up to you. So he winds up, he's like, oh, but now, and I actually kind of like this ending where he's like, it is sort of like that. So like, oh, it's cinema sin, so stupid, but it makes sense because like, oh, it's been like, I like he's so over it at this point. He buries his wife, and it's like, I didn't have enough time, you know what I mean? And now that she's fresher, she won't come back sociopathic and monstrous. And it's like, no, dude.
No, where are you getting that from, dude? That's not information.
This is another like this should be sort of a satisfying end to like a story about one man's hubris.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
Yeah.
that he hubristically thinks he can keep on beating death.
Yeah.
But instead, because this guy is such a wet blanket,
Yes.
you just kind of go like, "What this fucking dummy?"
Yeah, stupid soap opera face.
I can tell you exactly why he did it. It's because it has nothing to do with the learning any lessons. It's because he knows what he has to do next is go to Chicago and talk to Robert De Niro, who's going to take him out if he hears that.
I'd rather get murdered by my zombie wife than have to deliver that news.
This is the move. You get your zombie wife, you get her a plane ticket to Chicago.
Oh, nice.
You kind of just get her out of your area
Oh,
so
yeah,
you
just- that
can't
just
be a
like-
victim.
Dude, get her back to the house and then
Yes.
set her off on the in-laws, close the door.
Exactly. Or like lock her in the back of the truck or whatever and drive her to Chicago and just unleash her on her own family.
Also, go
No,
ahead.
if you want to go nuclear, you put fucking Fred Gwynne in that pet cemetery, and now the entire East Coast falls. That's the end of it. Like literally, there's no
That's
stopping
also,
it.
I mean, that's how you build a franchise.
Yeah, you can end with it's like just this like space shot of America and like all the lights are going out.
He's like the Thanos of zombies because he's like created every zombie that's ever existed.
Also, though, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, the other thing about him, seemingly just not wanting to face his daughter and deliver her the bad news, the daughter, we breeze past this, but keeps on going on and on about, like, is there any chance he comes back?
Right.
Yes.
Like, couldn't God do it if he really wanted to?
Yeah.
We got to keep all his stuff the same. So the
Yeah.
daughter has this whole flaky sense of death that you go, like, it's not even bad enough that the dad would have to get on a plane and go to the daughter and be like, so your mom's dead. He has to be like, your mom's dead because I tried to bring your brother back to life. The thing I told you was impossible. It is possible. I shouldn't have done it.
She's going to be in New York and with a new life. She's got a husband and kids and everything.
Yeah.
And she's bringing, like, when one of her kids dies, she brings it to the local pet cemetery thinking things are going to be great.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely.
It's a shortcut. It's an easy answer.
It's an
Chris.
easy answer.
This will happen. It's good. Don't
The
worry.
dad would probably still be like, "Oh, but the cat that definitely ran away."
Yeah, right.
There's it's bullshit though where he's like, "Oh, you just freshly died. I can bury you and
Yeah.
whatever," because he spends all of that extra time fucking burning down the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see this little puppet go up in flames. This little kid puppet. Oh, funny.
It's very
Oh.
satisfying to see that.
I loved it. It's
Yeah.
my favorite part of the movie.
And you could have licensed the song too. You got the talking heads.
Oh yeah,
involved.
it's like the match falls on the
Burn
gas.
down
Like,
the-
do. It would be great.
Watch out. Yeah, I would love it.
It's another thing too. If he's optimistic and he believes that she's going to be brought back to life as normal
Yeah.
because she's fresh, why does he burn down the house first? Doesn't he want to assume that he can go back to a normal domestic bliss?
Oh no, it's Fred Gwynn's house. That
Oh,
looks
right.
saltier
Yes,
and-
yes,
yeah,
yes.
So that guy
That's-
deserves
right, right.
nothing.
That's fine.
He was going to burn down his house anyway for different
We'll
reasons.
finally have a view.
He's got a nephew that was eyeing that house for years. Like, oh, are you fucking kidding me?
It's a good plot of land, right off the Fury Road,
When Denise
right around the
Crosby-
corner from the pet cemetery and that other cemetery.
It's you got all sorts of ghoulish spooks to look at from the top corner.
I'm awaited in Valhalla.
So when Denise Crosby comes back and she's got that
yeah.
eye socket just spewing ooze,
Yeah.
and he's
is
just
that?
like, I guess we should just make out.
Oh, dude, yeah. And there's some serious tongue kissing, and the
Yeah.
fucking goop gets back in their mouth. Ew. I wonder.
Trade and goop.
My
dude.
whole thought was like, what did that taste like? You're eating like
little
prop
salty,
goo.
maybe.
Probably salty.
I feel like it'd be sweet. I feel like
Ooh.
isn't
Prop,
like
prop goo, but
Right.
like, what if it was actual?
oh the
goo?
actual goo salty.
That's salty. Yeah.
or
yeah.
ooh, maybe it's sour.
Maybe it's a little
Oh, a
sour.
little sour.
If you,
Yeah.
Goo
if you
is
sourced
sour.
it from an actual cemetery, you mean?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
baby, your
Okay.
fucking eye
might
socket
be-
tastes like a warhead.
But Griffin might be like a goop hound. If you
I'm gonna be a goop hound?
yes.
It's a goop
If you
hound.
What is
tasted
this?
dead ooze and
Yeah.
it's salty
Right.
and,
Oh, yeah,
or
maybe
sour,
you're saying I might love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you were accusing me of reading Gwyneth Paltrow's website on a daily basis.
Nobody would say such
Yeah.
blasphemy.
Wait,
I
but
would,
so you're-
I would never.
Your question wasn't what do you think the fake goop tasted
No,
like on
real
set.
goop.
Your answer was
Like
what
zombie
does
goop.
bile taste like?
Yes, yes.
Famously bad. I feel like people use it as
But
an
you
example.
want to eat sour dirt, so you might like
Yeah, they
it.
said sour. It's got a nice little. It's in the name right
I don't know.
there.
I
Not
think
salty goop.
Dead
Yeah.
might be sour. I think
Yeah.
a little sweet from the. It's not sweet. A little salty from the eye residue.
Okay.
Right, yeah,
I just
yeah, yeah.
imagine eye is salty. I haven't tasted.
I
but-
must be salty.
You know, I will say one time,
Tear ducts.
I
tear
can't
ducts.
remember the name of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
restaurant,
yeah.
but there was a place in Long Island City where you could go as a Quebecois restaurant. You could get half of a pig's head,
Okay.
and I got it one
Mm,
time.
that's
at
just
Wells.
like
They
a
did it.
person. That's
M. Wells Steakhouse in Long Island City. I don't think it's open anymore.
Oh, I wonder why.
because it served delicious food.
Health
I don't
code
know.
violation.
I went to town on this pig's head, and I was in it.
Did you eat the eye?
I ate it.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
So
Yeah.
salty,
No.
Little salty. It
sour,
tasted
sour,
Sour?
sour.
not much on the sour. It was
sour.
pretty salty, and it just tasted like the rest.
Maybe
of
if
the meat.
it's rancid though.
Do they give you a crown of bones when you order this thing? This is the most decadent nightmare monster.
Christ
thing
on
to
his
do.
throne.
Cabin had it too. It's
Yeah, I've
delicious.
been there too, and the pig's teeth are sour.
What?
Wait.
No.
You're not eating the
You
teeth.
sucking teeth, dude.
You're eating
You sucking
ears. You're
teeth?
eating snout. You're eating jowls. You're eating brain, and you're eating eyeball.
Can I ask, do they sell the eye as like a feature, or are they like most people don't eat the eye?
They don't tell you about it, but it's like
They're
the
like
option is there. Like you can do it. It's
You
like
do you.
anything here.
You can do it.
Yeah. And I did it. It was my birthday.
They don't tell
Wow.
you about it, but that eye's there. I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
And it was good, man. I wasn't crazy about the brain.
Okay.
Yeah. I was kind of bumming about that.
And
But the eyeball,
what's
not
that?
bad.
Sour?
So,
It was a little too like mushy. Like it
The
didn't.
texture.
The
the
brain
texture,
is actually
yeah.
the Joker of Oregon.
hey,
Yeah, yeah.
hey!
Yeah.
How dare you?
It's twisted and deranged.
So yeah, they're making out, and she fucking pulls out. She pulls a knife off the kitchen table.
Yeah.
I love that he's waiting for his wife to come back as a zombie, sitting on the kitchen floor up against the fridge playing solitaire.
You got to pass
Great
the time.
little
I'm
detail.
surprised he didn't take a good old nap. This guy loves to go to sleep after.
Yeah, he just had that whole adventure. He burned
Yeah,
that house down.
sure.
He walked all the way back to that fucking pet cemetery
Tired.
and back to the house.
But also, like twice, this guy has tried to revive people to bad results.
Yeah.
He knows it takes a little time for them to like cook until
Right,
they're ready
right.
to pop back up again. I don't believe he's this chill the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
no, this is totally gonna work.
One thing we missed, which is the John Carpenter head, the second time he goes back to the pet cemetery, which is like the 14th thing this movie doesn't need.
Oh, the thing that like the head comes out of the rock.
Yeah.
Like he like blinks. He goes, "Well, that was odd," and nothing ever happens with it.
I think that was supposed to be the beast. Or
That might have
something.
been the
whatever,
Wendigo.
Yeah, they
Wendigo,
just
yeah.
forgot to cut it out.
Stephen King's Maine is essentially the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, that's
so.
right.
I really don't.
There's all
nothing
sorts of
surprises me, yeah.
monsters in those woods.
I buried Amelia Earhart back on the pet cemetery.
And then it's man credits Ramones song, which is awesome.
Yeah,
One of
the
my
song,
favorite
the
Ramones
song in
tunes.
the end credits, amazing.
The
Best
video
part of
is
the film.
hysterical.
This director was mostly a music video director, did all like the early Madonna videos, and
Yeah.
she was apparently like best buds with the Ramones.
Yeah, yeah.
And the studio was like, you can't do that. And she like went above them and got Ramones to write the song and then delivered it.
Which is so
yeah.
great.
Because apparently Stephen King's a big Ramones fan.
Right, that was. I
Question
think
mark.
Stephen King won the argument. I think
Yeah.
the studio didn't want the Ramones
Yeah.
on the soundtrack.
Right.
That's the other crazy thing I read about this film was that it was supposed to be George Romero.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he backed
Yeah.
down.
That King like pointedly like gave the rights to Romero because he
Yeah.
thought he could do justice.
Yeah.
Wrote it for Romero, and then Romero did Monkey Shines.
Monkey Shines. Yeah.
Which is great.
Right, and then they were still hot on the thing, so they made it anyway. But this is when he was still a little protective over his rights.
Yeah.
A
And
little
that didn't
bit.
last much
Right,
longer.
yeah.
And this was like sort of a thing where it was the writer's strike was happening, and they didn't know
Right.
when they were going to make this movie, et cetera. And like this was the only reason they made this movie was because the script was in such good shape they wouldn't have to get a
Yeah.
a rewriter on that.
Air
Right.
quotes for the listeners.
Yeah,
at home.
yeah. Sorry about that.
Good shape.
Yeah, it's such a good shape.
Yeah.
I
Would
think-
you? Yeah. Would people recommend this movie? Yeah. That's where we're at.
I'll start.
Oh yeah.
I
I
thought
thought that's where you're going. Did you have
Oh, no,
something else?
you know, I like this movie. I think this
Yeah.
movie is efficiently scary enough. It's batshit crazy. I think it's well directed. It looks
Yeah.
nice. It's got a nice you feel the 1989, which I like.
Yes.
This is the first scary movie I ever saw.
Oh, wow.
Actually,
Wow.
at 17 because I was a coward and I steered clear of it. And I was at like a party. We were about to go to a party. I was visiting a friend's college, and everybody all the big boys put this on. I was like, oh no, it's a scary movie, and I got really freaked out. But I sat through it and I watched it, and it stuck with me as like a super scary movie. I was less scared last night, but the tendon still gets me. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Who's going? Yeah.
you know, it's a very light recommend.
Oh,
I think
Cab.
it takes way too long to get going.
Okay.
And that's something like the first 30 minutes, I was like, I don't need any of like him getting to know Fred Gwynne, all that stuff. I'm like, okay. I mean, but once the funeral hits, I think is when suddenly it jumps to life.
Yeah.
And then so for that and after that, I guess I have to light recommend.
Yeah, I would recommend this movie. I think after watching this, and we did the episode on 2, also directed by Mary Lambert, I think 2's kind of better because it's
It
a
is.
little sillier. It's a little less self-serious.
Yeah.
But it's still fucking weird and creepy. But I've always kind of liked this movie, and this was like the 4th or 5th time I've seen it. And yeah, that little critter cutting his tendon, man, look out. It's creepy as fuck.
I would say it's a light recommend for me too, but like there's so much in this fucking thing that you do not need. That
Totally.
goddamn sister being chained to a bed
Yeah.
and other scenes. I feel like if this movie was 85 minutes, it'd be
Yes.
amazing.
It doesn't need to be an hour and 43 minutes. That's
Yeah.
a real problem.
I mean, I give this a soft recommend, but with the caveat that I'm hoping that the remake
Yeah.
improves upon it. Because I think we all agree there's a lot of like sort of fat.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
Yeah.
weird like sort of tendrils off the side of this film that take away from it.
Yeah.
The new one has a really good cast.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is exactly the kind of movie you want to remake.
Yes.
When it's like it's got a little brand value. You have source material, but they didn't like fully knock it out of the park. It sticks
Yeah.
in people's minds because there are
Yeah.
enough elements there, enough well executed things. But this is certainly something you can improve upon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rather than like Total Recall or RoboCop, where
Right.
it's like
Don't play with that.
Who's the wife in the new movie?
Amy Simons.
Who is
who-
amazing.
Oh, yes. She's great.
That's
Right.
that's a great cast.
It's
yeah.
a really great cast.
Clark is
Yeah.
fantastic, and
Yeah.
I do love Lithgow.
Yeah, and you're like, who could replace like Fred Gwynne? It's like that's the
Right.
one modern choice.
See that head?
Huge,
Look at that.
huge, like a Christmas
And
ham.
I think after it, like
The soup is bad.
right.
the floodgate.
Progresso soup.
The only one that remembers that ad.
Yeah, no
Kate.
one knows what you're saying.
Everybody knows.
The floodgates are open after it was such a successful remake, and I
Sure.
think we're going to see like almost every King property.
Dude, I want to do
remade.
Needful Things.
I'd be into it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just steer clear of The Shining. Then we're fine.
You
We
don't
already
do
did
it.
that twice.
Yeah, we
don't have to
we
do
did
it.
it enough.
I think they're doing a Doctor Sleep movie.
They are.
Though.
Ewan McGregor.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I never read that book, but there's weird like vampires in it or something.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll see about that when the time comes. But until then, that was Pet Sematary, directed by Mary Lambert from 1989. If you want more We Hate Movies, check out patreon.com/We Hate Movies. And Griffin, go ahead and plug away everything you got going on. Blank Check, The Tick.
Yeah. Blank
Go for
Check with Griffin David, available wherever podcasts are found.
Mm-hmm.
We have a second feed on Patreon now. Patreon, a company that none of us are worried about.
Not at all.
We're all cool with it.
All
It's fine.
super cool.
It's just fine.
Future looks incredibly bright. But we do commentaries on franchises on that feed, and on the main feed, it's directors' filmographies. We pick directors and go through all their movies one at a time. I had 2 of you guys on, and we'll have the other 2 soon. As soon as we finish recording, I will pester you guys about that. Tick, April 5th, all 10 episodes, because last time they did a weird thing where they split them up.
Oh,
Not the case this time.
nice. Just
10
dump it.
episodes on one day.
Yeah.
Please digest a thing that took months and months of my life in like one afternoon over a bag of chips. And
There will be a lobster.
there will be a lobster.
Right.
I'll say this: tiptoeing into spoiled territory. Several lobsters.
Now we're talking.
Is this exclusive?
This is exclusive. Several
Wow.
lobsters.
I'm getting hungry as fuck.
Yeah.
Several lobsters.
Speaking of Maine,
Yeah, that's it for the program. Thank you so much for dropping by. This is a lot
Thank
of
you
fun.
for having me on.
Yeah, this was
way
awesome.
overdue.
And we'll do it again. Maybe we can get Simsy on too.
No doubt he would love to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
well, that was a pause that I was like,
No
no,
way.
no,
Don't you fucking dare.
down.
And next week on the program, Steve Sadak, what are we talking about? This show, it continues every Tuesday, new episodes as you flip through a Google Drive doc.
What are you talking
This
about?
is a
No, we're just talking.
professional show.
Dude, you are the Joker of spreadsheets.
God
Oh, my
fucking
Lord.
damn it. We are doing
It's like he finds Excel funny.
we are doing Shrek 2.
Oh,
wow.
The second Shrek.
Yes,
Wow.
the Shrekkening.
Yes.
The sequel to our incredibly popular
Fantastic.
Shrek episode.
Sometimes dead is better.
Did-
Fucking sure.
Did people get angry when you talk Shrek because they're like protected?
Oh,
a
yeah.
little
Oh, yeah.
bit.
Now, do we think people will be as defensive towards
No.
Shrek 2?
Nah, giant gingerbread man, dude. No way. They can't.
That's also one of those things where when that came out, that was the 3rd highest grossing movie in history.
Yeah, which is insane. This society is so
Fucking
doomed.
yeah, life sucks.
You can talk about Avengers Endgame all you like. Shrek 2, no thank you.
Shrek 2 was human. Shrek 2 was just this moment where apparently everyone alive
Yep.
wanted to go back to the swamp.
I remember sitting in the theater for Shrek 1 stewing. I was not having it.
We saw the second one together.
Yes,
Chris
we
Campbell?
did.
Yeah,
At the theater,
fucking
yeah.
miserable existence we've
I'll
had.
see
Awful.
it this Sunday night.
You dodged it?
Well, one and
Good
done
on
on the
you.
show.
You were the one.
Yeah, I was the
Well,
one.
no,
that-
You were
think-
the one who stopped them from beating Titanic.
I think I dodged it too.
Oh,
I
that's
quit
two.
after 2. I've never
yeah.
seen whatever the
Yeah,
fuck.
The 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6, 7, 8.
Halloween specials 1
Right.
through
Oh,
9.
right. Didn't they do like Christmas shit too?
They do a
Of
lot of
course.
Christmas shit.
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
See, I'll say this: like, I'm younger. 1 and 2, I was like seeing in theaters, like jamming on.
Way to
Right.
brag on the show.
Yeah. Well, no, because it also was the thing. There was like these are fucking cartoons, but they're like edgier. So you
Yeah.
can be a teenager and still see them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shrek fucks.
Right. That was
does.
the argument.
He
And
fucks, he farts. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all there.
I love animation. I was so into the fact that everyone else wanted to see a cartoon movie with me, and I didn't have to pretend that my sister wanted to see it. But I look back at like 1 and 2 now, and I'm like, these are nightmare movies. Like
They're
these are like
horrifying.
staring
Yeah.
into the eye
Yeah.
of Sauron.
Yeah.
And then by the time like 3 came out, I was like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, until next week when we stare into the eye of Sauron, I'm Andrew Jupin.
Steven Sadak.
Chris Cabin.
Eric Siska.
Griffin Newman.
Take it easy.
That was a headgum podcast.